Alrighty, we are recording. This is my Superman Bad Takes video. I told people 3 days ago to give me submissions on some of the hot takes that you've seen, whether it's something weird, puzzling, strange, or just something that fundamentally misunderstands the character. And in my findings, I also found a lot of puzzling and unhinged shit that's gonna be hilarious to laugh at, and some counterpoints that I may have for other people that are dogging on this movie. We're going to get right into it. Some of the comments that you submitted. Thank you so much for submitting comments. If you did, let's get this party started. Superman doesn't save Lois. This is comment number 1 from Ghoul World Order. I don't find this as a boon or criticism of the film per se. It is true that Superman does not save Lois a lot in this film, but how is that a critique of the movie itself? You have a character that's not being actively portrayed as the typical damsel in distress, and for the most dangerous part of the movie where Lois is with Mr. Terrific, what is there to say about that part of Superman not saving her? She's with Mr. Terrific, who is smacking people in the head with T-spears and fucking knocking people all over the place and fighting them, and Lois is under protection of a barrier. Therefore, Mr. Terrific saves Lois in that situation, and Superman's not there. If Superman was there, he would be saving her life. He would be the first one there. Lois is a investigative journalist. She's gonna go on her own and discover things on her own, and she does not need Superman's permission 24/7. We know this as fans of the film and fans of the character. This is not core to any sort of fundamentals that is needed for him to save her in order for them to have good characterization and bond and plot moments and chemistry, which is what they have in the film. That was core to the film itself. Their arguments, their sort of breaking in the relationship, ups and downs. That chemistry being had between Superman and Lois was important, and I think they nailed that 100%. Therefore, Lois being able to go on her own, or maybe in later films, go out, defend herself, be smarter, do more investigative journalism, and maybe Superman will come out. I didn't mean it in that way. So don't mind me. But maybe the Justice Gang also, maybe in the area they come. Metahumans are established and they're everywhere. I don't really see Lois getting into a lot of trouble in this film, and if she does, then no fucking shit that the metahumans or Superman himself is going to save her. It just wasn't really a requirement of this film, is what I'm saying, and therefore I don't think it's a slight or a knock to the movie whatsoever. Superman isn't an immigrant. You're gonna see this pop up a lot, and it sort of goes into a lot of people in the video section, and I already know in the video section, people are going to say woke is woke because they mention immigration. This was from an interview that James Gunn took, and he mentioned how this is an immigrant story for Superman, someone settling on the planet Earth that's an alien and trying to find acceptance. The second thing here is Superman is an immigrant, and I believe that this is due to two things. Well, more or less, people are calling the movie woke, and they are basically saying, oh, they're putting in these little templates of real life immigration. They're putting an actual war into the film. Yes, there is a war in the movie. Then there's people correlating it to Israel versus Palestine, and I just don't understand. Yes, there is a war message, but I believe the message is with unity of Superman comes eventual peace, and we see that the war people are ultimately defended by the Justice Gang, and because of Superman's backup plan, he does care about these people. And not only that, the war is initiated because Lex Luthor essentially is using this entire war or whatever, as part of his master plan to slander Superman and cause chaos and do what he needs to do in order to fucking just be unhinged and ruin this guy's reputation no matter what. No, he is willing to cause genocide in order to say this is one way to stick it to Superman, and he does this through various points of the film. He wants to destroy this man's reputation. He wants all of this to be on the line. He says that, oh, this decoded message. Superman wants to go out and get a harem and take over the world and shit like that. And even in the darkest moments of this war, people still have hope for Superman. I believe that's the entire overarching central theme and point as to why they were showing it in the first place. And not only that, the corrupt war minister that was working with Lex Luthor, that also plays into it as well. And he has this machine somewhere in the middle of, what do they call it, Bravia, where he is doing these experiments and turning an open hole through an interdimensional portal and putting people there that he doesn't like. Lex Luthor is a petty motherfucker in this movie. Immigration was mentioned by James Gunn. This is an immigrant story of Superman, and that's why people are trying to call it woke and propagandists and all that other shit. Superman is an immigrant. This should not be room for debate. The definition of immigrant is a person who leaves one country to permanently settle in another. He is an alien from Kryptonian. He is not from Earth, right? Alien from Krypton comes settle to Earth. He gets shuttered out by his parents, you know, for the whole takeover message and shit like that, which we'll get to later on. And then he grows up on a farm in Kansas by Pa and Ma Kent, and he gets taught American values. He gets taught to, you know, feel what it's like to be human. And then he grows up and he understands he has these extraordinary powers, talents, abilities, and gifts, and he wants to save the world. He believes he is a good person. And then the, you know, the launch pad of the story basically goes on from there. By definition, he is an immigrant. And I have seen people compare this to the MS-13, which is a gang. And I'm going to show you guys this right here. Hold on a second. Ah, yes, I found it. There is nothing more propagandist than the media, the news, the rap saying that Jokes Hero has MS-13 on his cape. Superman is embracing pro-immigrant themes. This was ripped on by Fox Media, Fox News. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you compare what is essentially a gang, a cartel of people that kills people on a daily fucking basis and shit, right? Why would you compare them to Superman? Why would you compare Superman to them? Why are you doing this? Is what I'm saying. These themes do not correlate whatsoever, but you're trying to do that. It's the fucking news. It's full of dumb people, right? Superman would probably apprehend these criminals and take them in and get them all arrested. What are you talking about? What? But I don't even want to watch the video because it's the rap. And they have been known for lying. They look up the whole thing with Soups. You know, Soups, the guy that's like, yeah, let's go. Look up him and the things with his manager and how the rap was behind all that, and his manager almost took his life. Yeah, that's the rap that we're talking about. The stuff with I forgot the manager's name is Brad. I do remember that. Umberto Gonzalez. Look up all that stuff. Believe me, I will put a link to that in the video. I've never liked the rap from hearing that story and how they essentially almost ruined someone's life due to Soups turning against them, and he went whole hog against his manager, and his manager almost took his life. But that's another story entirely. I don't like the rap at all. I've been not liking them because of that, and I don't like Soups because of that. Maybe I'm throwing a little bit too much shade. He's a content creator, by the way, not the actual Superman. But let's continue onward to a couple of things here. So let me see. Where was I? Oh, yes. By all means and terms and definitions, Superman is 100% indeed an immigrant from another planet, inhabiting Earth. I'm just making sure all my shit is like super good. Damn, I took a lot of screen caps. Goddamn, but so let's continue on. Okay, the movie won't let you breathe after serious moments when you get hit with comedy afterwards. I've seen a lot of complaints about this, about people saying that, oh, it's too much comedy, too many jokes or whatever. It is definitely a movie that has jokes, but for me personally, I believe those jokes weren't bad. I said this in a post. A movie can be comedic in tone or have a lighthearted nature, but not necessarily be a bad film. However, if you're someone who prefers dark DC, if you're someone that prefers the DCEU style, where it's like, oh, so dark, you sound like you're part of the DC universe. This movie's not going to appeal to you, and I don't believe that it will or should or needs to, because if we're talking about Superman and if we're talking about darkness, Batman's right over there. Go fucking watch Batman at this point, right? If you want dark DC stuff, then Superman, in my personal opinion, the core heroic traits of Superman and everything, that's not the place to get full darkness from. Seriously, Batman is right over there in the neon sign that has darkness all over it, and it seems that people do not realize and notice this. They're looking for something in a character, they're looking for something in a franchise that's necessarily, it has dark themes. Superman has dark themes in certain stories. The death of Superman was really sad, right? It was really harrowing and depressing, and it felt like everyone was gonna die at that rate when he was fighting Doomsday, and he was the only one that could stop him. And Superman, supposedly died. His heart stopped for like a few seconds or whatever. We're not gonna get into that, but that is a depressing story. That's not what you're looking for with this film and the character itself inherently. You want darkness? Go over to Batman. I never understood people having this Henry Cavill effect on DC, where they intrinsically believe that every interpretation of Superman should be exactly like his, should be like Man of Steel, should be taken super seriously, when that's not what the character is, right? It's just not. I believe people have been psyoped to believe this, and there's multiple interpretations of each character for a reason, but the natural throughput is Superman is big boy blue. He is courageous and honest and all this other shit, and he's supposed to crack a smile. I remember people were saying that as well. Oh, a Cavill doesn't need to smile that much. It's like, what? It's like, what? Superman, like, smiling is a core part of the character, and just not only that, but like I said, the encouragement, the honesty, the courageousness, that's all part of Superman. That there's that panel of him talking down someone who is on a ledge, right? And they always say, oh, this is the embodiment, this is the comic panel of what Superman is all about, where he will sit with this kid for days to stop them from jumping off this rooftop. And he sat there all day just talking to them, assuring them, resting assured that everything's going to be okay. That's Superman. That's Superman to me. That's Superman to a lot of other people. Not just, oh, well, I can't save a guy in a tornado because I don't want my identity exposed. What? That makes no sense to me. Uh, that makes no sense. I believe people are just looking for Superman criteria in the wrong area. And if you are just a Man of Steel fan that likes that more darker take, you can watch that movie till the tape runs out. I don't see what the problem is here of embracing what the character actually means in other media as well and representing that in full force. I actually do kind of like Man of Steel, but not so much BVS. But I see how that's a general critique of that movie as well. Some people won't accept it. Does it ruin the flow of the movie for there being comedy in the first place? No, because the movie is breakneck pace anyway for Superman. Therefore, I believe the issue you're gonna find there is maybe it goes a little bit too fast. Maybe some origins like how Lex began his hatred of Superman is not really too established, but you know that he's been planning this for years. Therefore, there's some cycle of hate somewhere as to how it started. Maybe they'll go into a flashback in another movie. Maybe they won't. Maybe it's just as simple as he just hates this dude's guts, and that's all you need to know. But I understand that bit of wanting more Lex backstory. That I understand. That I get. But did it ruin the flow of the movie? No. I think the movie was full on, no fat. It told you what it wanted to tell you. It wanted to tell the story of sort of Superman coming to terms, coming to age with his persona, and having some sort of boon in there, some sort of issue that ruins his reputation for a little bit, and he tries to overcome that as well. You know, overcoming adversity. That's what this movie is in a nutshell, and it knows what it wants to be, and it doesn't meander, it doesn't fuck around, and I believe that people saying that it ruins the flow and pacing is nonsense, especially if Superman is supposed to be a lot more of a light character. Uh, let's move on. What other comments do we have? Oh, let's see. Lex is a bitch. Lex is a bitch. Whiny. I don't think Lex is a bitch. He is pretty meticulous and smart in this film. That's if that's being a bitch, I don't know what is, personally. Could you say that he's whiny? Yes. I think that part, yeah. Some people will probably think Lex is whiny. I did say that in my review. But if you're a pure 100% full-on hater, you're gonna be whiny that you don't get what you want. And I believe those moments actually kind of worked, and they were comedic beats that were fucking funny because Lex was being an asshole, like throwing pencils on the floor and telling people to like pick it up, pick this up. Come on, that was. I actually like that. For people saying that the jokes didn't land or whatever, that was one of them that actually worked for me. I'm just gonna say that in my personal opinion. Superman had a higher body count than Man of Steel did. How? How? How, dude? Zod and Superman were destroying the whole city. Many people died, as BVS showed, or many people were injured, as BVS showed. We saw the destroyed buildings and everything, right? Fucking Metropolis was almost total. How was there a higher body count? And then wasn't the Kryptonians, weren't they terraforming the planet and also going around and wreaking havoc? Maybe that added to the body count as well. For this, there was citywide destruction, sure, and it probably was injuries and lasers going through buildings and whatnot. But because Superman was around saving everyone, and due to the element of the Justice Gang also being there, it's impossible to say in some sort of variable that the body count was higher than Man of Steel, because if we see Superman saving these people, whereas Cavill would fly through a building and a couple of people get fucked up or whatever, there's no way. And I think the Kryptonians themselves were a wider threat of powers to deal with, and they were also going around fucking with people, terrorizing, killing people. It's no way there was a higher body count. Cavill was struggling a lot with those enemies in particular. Let's see, what else are we missing out on? I'm not gonna answer this one about the cosplaying Crypto Tintin. I don't even know. I was very confused as to what that comment was. Guys, if you're gonna send comments on a bad take video, be sure to make it a little bit more clear. Like I was telling this guy, did someone I was confused. I thought Crypto is based on one of James Gunn's dogs, right? I don't know where the whole Tintin thing came from. And I was just like, yeah, I don't think this is pertinent to the video itself. I think this is a troll comment. So if you're gonna say something and I read it off, please make sure that it is pertinent to the topic at hand. I appreciate that. We're moving on to the okay buddy Snyder Cult. The crazy people. This is not the Snyder Cut subreddit. This is like the one that makes fun of them because apparently they violated Rule 3, telling Snyder fans to move on, and it's like a refugee camp of those folks who got banned from that subreddit, probably making fun of this one and piling on. And believe me when I say the Snyder cultist people are probably some of the more toxic people in DC with how they've been reacting. Not all of them. Not all of them. There are rational Snyder people. It's like, oh, that sucks they got rid of Zack Snyder. I can totally understand that mentality, that side of things, but not the one where it's like, I want James Gunn's house burnt down and he got paid like 15 million to direct Superman. Imagine if that money went to cancer research instead. What? What? Okay. And it's not like this film hasn't done noble causes. I believe it was reported in the news a while ago that because, you know, crypto's in a movie and everything, that people have adopted puppies because of it. I think it went up to like 113% is out there in the news. So I'm not lying about this. I have no reason to. But you know, dogs getting adopted into good homes, that is actually a good thing, and if it was due to this movie, then that's actually pretty fucking great. Therefore, why are you trying to conflate the idea that James Gunn, a director who obviously like any other directors will get fucking paid to do a movie, has gotten paid to do a movie, and you're talking about cancer research, something that's completely unrelated to the film being made itself, and it's not like the film hasn't done noble fucking shit if I bring up the dog stuff. Which, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna find it so you can see the evidence is clear as day as to what I'm talking about. There it is. Crypto's popularity in Superman triggers a surge in adopt a dog searches, which is also noble. And then you have Corn Sweat out there in interviews, going out there, you know, just being wholesome to kids and them looking up to him, looking up to Superman, living through this actor and everything like that. That's noble shit. Therefore, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, oh, oh god. Shit, dude. I have to scroll down because I know it's like a terminal cesspit. Oh, for some fucking reason my Reddit is not loading, so that kind of sucks. Should we just move on to Twitter real quick if that's the case? No, I'm gonna see if I can fix this. Hold on. It has been fixed. All I needed to do was move to another browser. The most sane Snyder cult is that's clearly not Snyder. James Gunn made a fake clone of Snyder to make Snyder fans show up for Superman. How? It's not Cavill. Ultraman was David Cornsweat with longer hair. Therefore, that's not any sort of thing made to make Snyder fans go to the movie theater at all. And say, oh, we've decided to include this reference in here to make Snyder fans go crazy or whatnot. They would have just cast it. And a lot of people were thinking this too. They casted Ultraman as Henry Cavill basically, and they thought it was going to be him, but it's not him. It's David Cornsweat himself. That's the clone. The real Snyder would never take a pic with this devil. What? But he did. But that's his friend. James Gunn and Zack Snyder are friends. They don't give a fuck about any of this stupid war between them. I would paint it similar to how people like to get online and soapbox and say that, oh well, Kojima hates Neil Druckmann or whatever because Druckmann is trying to be the Western Kojima when they're actually friends in real life and they don't look at this online stupid fucking discourse. Like, I hate that shit personally when people try to pit two people against each other and they're not really enemies, but the fandom are fucking enemies and it's stupid. It's the same, like I said, it's the same shit with people trying to pit They tried to pit Naughty Dog against Sucker Punch, and Sucker Punch actually helped Naughty Dog with The Last of Us 2, and they gave them some blueprints on, hey, your game takes place in Washington State. Here's some blueprints of us giving you things from Infamous Second Son with Seattle and the Space Needle, and here's what you need to do, this, that, and the third. It's like stupid. It's like this stuff only exists online. James Gunn does not hate Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder does not hate James Gunn, and that's a perfect example. Like, that shit's stupid. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm putting it harsh, and people aren't gonna like that, but that's the only way to explain that. It's stupid to pit two people against each other who have no animosity whatsoever. Let's see. Eisenberg sucked this Lex. I agree with that. I agree with that. Let's see. Oh my god. Oh, you have been permanently banned from the Snyder Cut Reddit. Yeah, they're kind of soft as baby shit over there, from what I hear. Let's keep going down the list. There's got to be more crazy shit. They're invading other subs, and it's hilarious. I'm not really surprised by that. Batman v Superman appreciation. It's just a guy spamming BVS screenshots. So, well, okay. I mean, you can. If they allow that over there, I guess that's fine. I have no issue with that. Let's keep going down the list. Did James Gunn buy reviews on Rotten Tomatoes? No, I don't think so at all. There are people who do like Superman 2025, so I do believe there are people who do like this film, and there's people that don't like it, and they're being reasonable, and then there's crazy people like this one who is talking about cancer research on a director that was hired to fucking do a movie. It's crazy. Oh yeah, depleted of testosterone. This is another Snyder cultist, Big John. What an idiot. I'm gonna be insulting in this one. It's just, the dumber it gets, the more I'm just gonna be like, just, this is idiotic to me. Now, I'm not saying that Cavill and Affleck weren't jacked as fuck, but you also have to understand these are kind of muscle suits as well, a little bit, to show the definitions and whatnot. And I believe that both directors, Reeves and fucking James Gunn, they said that that's not the purpose of these suits. I believe Reeves wanted the Batman suit to be more tactile looking and sort of grounded. It's still year two Batman as well, so he's working out the kinks on the armor and everything. One of the things I like is the plates that you can just take off and throw a batarang or something real quick. That's pretty cool. I hope that migrates into the sequel. And then there's Superman, where Gunn specifically said he did not want a muscle suit, even though Corn Sweat himself is jacked as fuck. And this guy is saying, does he think that's their actual muscles? No, it's a muscle suit, right? It is. It's supposed to show more that, hey, the superhero's ripped as fuck. And some suits don't do that, but it doesn't make them any less of being Superman and Batman, because the writing for the movies on the right here are infinitely better than the movies on the left, character wise and all. I think DC is finally not depleted of bad writing anymore, Big John. I don't know what to tell you. Let's go down the list. Also, I stole that from Colin, by the way, so shout outs to Colin. But let's see. Jesus Christ, there's, oh god, dude. I should just go to the Snyder Cut Reddit and see what I find. I'm very scared. I'm not gonna lie, people, I'm very scared. I'm shaking in my boots right now. Jeez, okay. All right, I'm here. It's the typical rhetoric of let's fight about sales numbers when that's not indicative of the quality of a movie or a game or anything. That's a tiring fucking argument, really. Oh god, how much money? It you can tell that shit melts my brain because it's like it's the only win someone tries to look for when a piece of media reviews well, right? This always fucking happens, right? It's a little pet peeve. Whenever someone expects something to bomb in terms of reviews and it doesn't, the first thing they do is go to sales numbers because they don't have anything else to dispute against the quality of the project itself. They don't want to have a nuanced argument as to what was good or what necessarily didn't work about said piece of criteria. They just want to argue about the sales because that dictates the future of said franchise selling well. For the Snyder Cult in particular, since they want to restore the Snyderverse, and that's not coming back whatsoever at all, I believe that DC would rather take another chance on Dan Lin than to ever fucking go back to Zack Snyder, because they went to multiple directors. Even they even went to Marvel Studios at Kevin Feige. And they asked him for advice because they were that desperate. That's how bad the DCEU was. I don't think they're going to restore the Snyderverse. I don't think so. What the fuck? So they're saying BPS by James Gunn killed them and raped them. Oh, the gangsters specifically? I don't know about that. I guess they're making fun of the little harem message or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's for. I don't even want to entertain the logic because it's so fucking dumb, dude. I see people criticizing the Jor-El thing where it's like, oh, come to Earth and get all the women or whatever. That's sure. I see people not liking that change. That's fine. For me personally, in my honest opinion, I still think there's a lot more to the decoding of the message because so much was, destroyed. The engineer was rebuilding the message. I still think the message could have been manipulated. And if it is discovered eventually in a later Superman sequel or whatever that the engineer has the ability to like fucking do that, then I wouldn't be surprised because Lex slandering Superman is like super in character. That's super. That's really in character for that. Like again, sales of worldwide and whatever. But I believe Superman outshined Man of Steel domestically in America, and we will see how international does. Oh, new DC movie comes out. It does well. See, Snyder fans, you're a minority. No one cares about Snyder stuff. The brand is better off without it. It doesn't. It's because Snyder damaged the brand beyond repair. Why did you let it flop, Snyder fans? I don't think anyone is saying that. I personally believe that real DC fans are happy they got a very comic booky, as they say. That logic is dumb too. There are people saying that, oh, the movie is too comic booky, it's too accurate to the comics. No shit. It's a comic book character. What the fuck are we? What are we talking about? What? Too comic booky? I heard Tyrone Magnus say that shit, and I literally, my brain almost fell out the side of his goddamn socket, dude. I was like, what are we talking about where a movie is too comic booky as a criticism? That's not a critique of a movie. You're going to want a comic book movie to be accurate to the character as possible. Otherwise, if it's not, you motherfuckers will be the first to complain. You'll be like, oh, that's not accurate to the character. He don't act like that. What the fuck? Like, come on, man. We know this shit. More ratings and review comparison. These dudes are so desperate for a W when they're taking an L with the way they're acting. Like, it's nothing but box office discussion in the Snyder Cut Reddit where it says this is a community for Snyderverse and Zack Snyder's other projects. Zack Snyder projects. Please keep discussions civil, respectful, and on topic. And all they're worried about is how Superman, James Gunn's Superman, is doing financially. We won. You know you fucking lost because your universe is not getting restored. It's done. There's no winning there. And once again, I believe if this movie is not satisfactory to WB, they're gonna fucking reboot again or start. I do think they are fine with how this film is going so far, because with the interviews, and you got Zaslav coming out and being happy, you got other WB execs coming out and being happy. That's not bad news. Personally, it's not. We'll see how this movie fares up against Fantastic Four. That's all I have to say about it financially, but that's something for WB to worry about, not so much me. And maybe for you crazy fanatics out there that can't stop talking about dollars and cents. It's like, okay. And it's like, oh, other Superman content got a surge. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel also got a surge because the new Superman movie came out. No shit! It's transmedia marketing. I know people are going to be like, oh, this is a win for Man of Steel. No shit, it's transmedia marketing. Like, when something comes out and is popular, people are going to go back and cycle back to what came back before. I'm sure all of those Superman movies on HBO Max got a boost because of the new Superman movie, which is not a bad thing because it means more people are watching differing renditions of the character and they can see what they liked and didn't like throughout history. Right? Someone might go back and say, I don't really like Man of Steel that much, or that's kind of how opinions work. Or someone might go back and say, hey, I kind of dug it. That's kind of how it works. This is nothing but good for the brand. Am I the only one who really notices that shit? Like, that's good for the brand of Superman itself. A new movie is causing other people to go back and watch new shit. No shit. Same thing's gonna happen, for example, to Resident Evil 9. When that game comes out in February, there's going to be people who never played the RE game. They're gonna go back and play all the other ones because that new one is out. No shit. No shit. And I guarantee you the comments in here, the reason why I called that out is because the comments in here are going to be like, oh, look at they're inflating the numbers and shit. And they're putting the numbers up, and they're gonna say, oh, Man of Steel is fire, but everything else, ooh. But Man of Steel is so bad according to it's a decent film. It's a decent movie. Let's leave out the part where it was already the top performing Superman film on Max. Dude, I guarantee you, if the new one was out on HBO Max, it would be getting a lot more views because it's the new shit. That's another thing too. Like, it's the hot new thing that's out right now, which is why everything else behind it is boosting up so much. It's common sense, and I don't know why people just would try to argue this stuff. It's no reason to. I'm going to add more to the Snyder Cult section, because what is this? This guy's opening his copy of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And he sees a flyer in here for the Batman Part 1 and James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and then he goes to his toilet. He puts it in there. He unzips and whizzes on the fucking flyer, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck, man? Oh my god. Grown ass adults, like, bro, that shit ain't coming back. No, nobody, like, dude, yeah, you guys are just way too sensitive about this shit. A worse Superman than Brandon Routh. You're a flat earther. Your opinion is invalid. Gradually indoctrinate. Okay. We got flat earthers coming in here. What the? Go stick to your fucking earth being the size of a pancake, idiot. Like, Flat earthers, okay. Let's continue on. The cult can't meme opening weekend adjusted for inflation. Okay, we got some tits comparisons here, which is always what they say. Oh, adjusted for inflation, Man of Steel made more, but domestically, this movie is whooping Man of Steel's ass. So, I mean, go on, I guess. Oh man, well, then it was a dude that had a Snyder truck. Oh my god, man.
Eisenberg, the definitive Lex Luthor across all mediums. He was brilliant. His struggle of man against God, of the atheist that wishes to kill God, the Nietzschean undertones that were going on throughout his performance, the richness of its depth. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
That has to be a bit. I thoroughly refuse that is real, but knowing these people, I would imagine that it is. What is this? Oh man. Batman. Oh my god, dude. It's so many jokes I want to make, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I just think the caption is paramount here. A lonely Batman cosplayer shows up alone at New York's Times Square with this stupid ass sign and restored a fucking. Leave that shit in the dust, man. Snyderverse done. It's done. It's done. DC went to shit, and he posts one good movie, which is I like Shazam. The other one's not out yet. Oh, I found it. This is the boycott truck.
Ladies and gentlemen, hashtag Henry Cavill Superman.
Oh my god. This is so fucking pathetic, dude. Like, someone actually paid for that shit. Say his name worldwide. Oh, okay. So, more people died in this 1 minute clip. I guess this is kind of showing how death works and how there's stakes and whatnot. There was a previous, I think there was a post that someone left me saying that, yeah, Superman had a higher body count than Man of Steel did, which is, yeah, that quote itself from other people, that is false, but there's also Snyder people saying that there needs to be world-ending events in every DC film, and stakes are no longer a thing in modern comic book filmmaking, which is fucking crazy. And this guy responds, I love this comment, where he says, well, you see, a good superhero prevents people from being killed in supervillain attacks, right? So, therefore, tons of human casualties, even though it's part of the equation, that should be reduced by superheroes, which is why in Superman 2025 there's not a giant slaughtering of people compared to Man of Steel, because Superman is actually saving everyone. And when you point that out, people get mad, which I don't understand, because that is actually what they showed on the film between both movies. This was dumb. Why did Superman let this man die? And then the preceding comment, the dumb comment, says, cause he asked for it. Can't say the same about the guy in Guns Superman. Okay, is he talking about Malik? Dude, I don't know. Why did Superman let this guy die? Is that Malik, or? Oh, it's not. All right, it's not. All right, that's my mistake. He didn't die, and I guess that's, well, I guess that's the fault of STEM not watching the film. But yeah, this dude apparently is not dead. I know there's another guy that was also held captive by Lex Luthor, and he was shot in the head. And my brain was going, I was thinking it was him for a second. But yeah, if this dude's not dead, then Superman didn't let him die, but Superman did let his father die, and it was all under the principle, well, at least in Man of Steel, it was all under the principle that he didn't want his identity exposed to the public. So it's like, don't save me in the midst of this tornado going on in the background. Oh, I'm getting sucked up. Well, I'm dead. That's dumb. That's really dumb. Uh, so apparently, let's go back to. Can I find it? Oh, this just in. It's okay to let someone die if they ask to die. Why, people? That's not the ideal of being a noble superhero. If someone says, no, don't save me, and yeah, you're supposed to break the paradigm and save them anyway. Man of Steel was so close, but so far. It was so close when Clark was talking about it, saying that I should save that bus of people. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to let them die? And then his father goes, maybe. That is the worst Pa Kent I think I ever seen in my entire life. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be comparisons here. Uh, this comment about the suits depleted of testosterone. I talked about that earlier, and big bulging cocks and veiny arms equals better storytelling. Ah, this dude stems on a roll here. He gets featured again. Supposed heroes. Now, the clipping question was the Justice Gang torturing the big kaiju monster by, I think, Green Lantern and Guy Gardner was like stabbing it in the eye. And he was saying that, oh, supposed heroes torturing a creature that was just panicking about being in unfamiliar surroundings while Superman enables it. There's so much wrong with this comment if you've seen this film, and I'm just gonna list off, several things. The first one is that Superman did not enable that behavior. He was clearly arguing with Guy Gardner, saying that there has to be a better way to do this situation while they were trying to torture it, kill it. Superman wanted to take it away and study it and maybe incapacitate it or knock it out, and they were trying to do the opposite. They figured the monster should be killed for the good of humanity, where Superman is like, let's study it, let's find a better way to sort of try to, either save it or put it out of his misery. He was offering up suggestions that were not equivalent to torturing the goddamn creature as it's getting stabbed in the eye 5 million times by Green Lantern. They were in clear disagreement in that scene. Why are you saying that he was enabling it? Why? That makes no sense whatsoever, because it was clearly two different opinions and you just were not paying attention. And that goes to the point of supposed heroes with the Justice Gang. The Justice Gang, they will kill people. It's common thing. It's common law at this rate. They will kill people. They're not afraid to kill people. They're not afraid to kill things that are basically harming the innocent. Like the Prime Minister that Hawk Girl dropped to his death. Because he said, "Oh, you're like Superman. You're supposed to save me." That shows the contrast between the Justice Gang, who is willing to kill the bad people, and Superman, who wouldn't ever do that. That's the point of those two. So saying they're fully heroic or with no, that might not fit the Justice Gang. You know, they're still heroes, but they are heroes that kill the villains. And we're gonna get more into this. Oh my god, I was looking up Superman bad takes. Oh, this is EFAP. Oh my god, here we go. All right, let's listen to this. Let me make sure the audio for my desktop is fine. Yeah, okay, so you guys should be able to hear this. This is Rags. Isn't Rags the guy who tried to saying the hard N word is fine and he's white? Oh man.
So, you want to kill Superman, and you are not constrained by the law. So why isn't he dead yet? Because we're about to go on a whole thing where Lex seems to believe his only constraint is that he needs to get the government's permission to pursue his own private vendetta against Superman. But he didn't need that for any of the illegal shit he did, so why not just contrive a situation where you secretly and illegally finish your job? You've done it before, just do it again.
When you've essentially have this supervillain at your beck and call that can clearly beat the shit out of Superman.
There is so much wrong with that statement. SK's response is right on the money, and I feel the same sentiment. Lex wouldn't get satisfaction just by killing Superman outright, and the world essentially was on Superman's side. He would have got turned into a martyr. And what that means is, oh, Superman died, so Lex has the capability to have Ultraman like crush him right there. But I was thinking about this too. Like, he essentially had Ultraman and the engineer like beat Superman. Superman lost, and I was telling myself, why didn't they finish the job? And it's understandable why they did not finish the job, because they had to destroy Superman's reputation. If Superman died a martyr, Lex would have not been happy about that. Superman dying a hero to the people. No, that's not good enough for the villain's motives. What the villain wants is for Superman to be fully destroyed, reputation-wise, for people to hate Superman. And then he kills him, and then Superman dies being completely disrespected for everything that he supposedly tried to stand up for and do. It was all shattered with that message that they gave. With the people hating him and then killing him, that makes better sense. That makes Lex Luthor happy. Remember, he's the ultimate hater 101. He wants everything shattered in this man's life. Therefore, it doesn't compel him to just kill him immediately with a good reputation. That makes no sense, all right? That makes no sense, to just let him skirt off and be like, oh, he's a hero. He's dead, but he's a hero. That's not good enough to Lex Luthor. And that's how villains work. That's why they monologue. That's why they sit there. It's like, I'm going to destroy who you are and every fiber of your being, physically, mentally. Your interpersonal relationships are going to be destroyed. That's what villains do, because just killing them is not good enough for them. They want to completely domineer over them and then kill them. Oh god, Superman chose not to help a monster attacking Metropolis because he thought the Justice Gang, who he knew didn't really care at all about civilian casualties, would take care of it. Let us be glad that you're dead wrong. Is this dude Rags like fucking... I don't know. I mean, he's supposed to be... He has the furry dog persona, but he seems very brain dead. So I'm not... Does that all equate to some fashion? Like, how stupid is this guy? I have like a million question marks to this. First and foremost, SK once again. This is why I was bookmarking all of this. In this clip, I'm not sure if I can play it, but you see the Justice Gang say, "Clear the area," as the kaiju is destroying the city. This shows that they clearly do care about the civilians being killed. If Green Lantern summons a giant microphone and tells everyone to get the fuck out of there as we try to kill this monster. Another reason that's not shown here in the film, that they do care for civilian casualties, is when Superman is being beaten by Ultraman, and he says brains over brawn as he's being beaten, and the child is about to get shot. It's in the other country. Justice Gang comes in there and saves them. The civilians in the war-torn area is being saved by the Justice Gang. That's, civilian casualties, right? If they didn't care, that child would have been shot in the back of the head and it would have been over. But they, on Superman's behalf, they went to save that war and stop people from getting killed. Rags, what are you talking about, man? What the fuck? What are you talking? Did you watch the movie? Did you see that part of the movie where the Justice Gang did come in and save the people at the end with the war? Or did you see this part where it's like clear the area? What are you? This is prime stupidity. And now we have the movie section reviews. Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm so hungry, and it's like, do I want to watch all this shit? I'll start off with Ranting for Vengeance.
James Gunn's Superman is the worst fucking movie that's ever been made.
That's definitely an over exaggeration. Worse than The Room? No. Worse than fucking, what was the, damn, Halloween Ends was pretty damn disappointing. Yeah, I would say Superman is definitely better than Halloween Ends. Okay. Nah, I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse.
James Gunn's Superman is the worst fucking movie.
Worse than House of the Dead? Nah. House of the Dead, Uwe Boll. You could just put Uwe Boll up there, and I'm sure like every James Gunn movie ever made tops Uwe Boll for sure. We could have that discussion, sure.
That's ever been made. I stay true to what I said. While it's closed, I'm not giving money to James Gunn, the Freak, or DC. But I did watch Superman fully somehow, and I don't know
somehow, some way. Just say you pirated, bro. It's not really that fucking hard.
How they did it, but James Gunn has managed to make the worst superhero movie ever made. Before we go any further, just be warned that this is not hyperbole. This is not
that is hyperbole, because I've just named movies in the beginning that are literally worse than James Gunn's Superman. I just did it.
Rage bait. This movie,
I mean, you rage bait all the fucking time, bro. You're a racist. Like, what are we on about, motherfucker? Like, when we know you're a racist piece of shit. we know this. I feel maybe your bald father or whatever enables this behavior. Because I think it was spotted that both of you be making videos in the same background or whatever. So I have seen that. Yeah, I can call that out. I have seen that. That is pretty funny. And maybe you need to be taken to your room and have your ass beat or whatever. I don't know, for acting like this. That's my dog. I think my dog is barking at my door, knocking at my door. So let me let her in and I'll continue this. Okay, let's react to this.
Movie is a disgrace to filmmaking, and if you saw the movie and you agree and you want to help out this channel, maybe consider subscribing or supporting me over on Patreon. So there's been a lot of reviews from everybody all across the internet, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these people are just lying because they don't want to destroy the movie. People are saying
see, this is the fucking arguments I can't stand. Like, people think that a good review is lying about something. I don't like that, to be honest, because I think all reviews are everyone's personal feelings on said subject matter. Whether there's going to be majority reviews and there's going to be minority reviews sometimes. It's just the name of the fucking game. For some reason, folks are delusional and they can't accept this. There can be a movie where someone will dislike it or whatever. It has a Rotten Tomato score, and lots of other people, audience members, may like the film. Then there's times where fucking there's a rotten audience score where the audience didn't like the film, but the critics like the movie. And then there could be times where both of them are rotten, and then there could be times where both of them are positive. It's a variable every single time we talk about reviews, whether majority or minority. It's not a far cry to believe that there are people that do like this film. What are you guys on about, dude? I just broke it down in a way where you can't break it down because you can't accept the reality that someone just came out and say, oh, I like the movie. There's people that dislike the movie as well. Some more valid than others, clearly. Like, everyone uses Jeremy Jahns, right, as an example. I think his talks about the film, while negative, were valid. Whereas you guys will say a bunch of stupid shit, or you'll have the Snyder Cult come in and talk about how a costume's dick is more important to the film itself and how it looks versus the actual merit of the characters, the film, and the themes. Like, no one cares about that bullshit. I'm not going to lie. When you make stupid comparisons like that, nobody's going to be on your side.
Saying it isn't woke, and it isn't even that.
Like this, he's already, like, it's only 45 seconds in and he's talking about wokeness in the film. Like, nobody gives a fuck about you guys. I'm just gonna say, like, nobody, no casual film goer, movie goer cares about this shit you guys get on a soapbox and talk about. You are here to be laughed at. You are the peanut gallery. Alright? We're here to throw peanuts at you guys to see how extremist you can go with these opinions.
Because they don't want to destroy the movie. People are saying it isn't woke and it isn't even that bad. Some people are saying it's a 10 out of 10 that's better than Iron Man, Avengers Endgame. And I'm here to tell
I don't agree with that. If someone's saying that, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. I don't think it's better than Infinity War. I don't think it's I have to go back and rewatch Iron Man 1. That's what I have to do. But I mean, yeah, comic book movies are going to be compared to other comic book movies. That's just the name of the game at this rate. Mileage may vary. Maybe there is someone out there, this is what we talk about with other thoughts. Maybe there is someone out there who doesn't like Iron Man 1 that much. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, as we say.
Tell you that everybody on all sides of this are lying. Once again, it isn't rage bait.
You just said everyone is lying when folks are known to have subjective opinions. You are fucking stupid. you are dumb, bro. Like, sir, I would love to have a debate with this guy because I would literally tear him apart. It'd be so easy.
If you watch this movie, try to make out the structure. Who greenlit this script? Is there
David Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery. There you go.
Beginning, a middle, or even an end? Or are we just dropped in?
There is a beginning, middle, and end. You didn't watch the movie. The movie begins with Superman losing. The movie has a middle arc where Superman is slandered by Lex Luthor, and he has his reputation destroyed, and then the end is the people having hope and Superman wins and saves the day. There's the 3-act structure right there.
The worst movie ever created by man. That's exactly what it is. Because from all the trailers, I thought that this movie was going to be terrible, but still a fun time. And there was one fun part that could be excused, which was Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, which I actually found kind of funny. But
there it is. He liked something about this movie. Which I agree with. I think Guy Gardner was pretty cool. But it's so funny that he said this was the best part of the movie because Guy Gardner is like the asshole. So maybe it's like, I don't know, this dude gets off the characters who are like known as assholes. It's like that's the only defining quality trait that a character needs to have for a movie to be enjoyable by this motherfucker.
Other than like 5 seconds of footage where Superman and Lois were acting like they were in an actual Superman movie, this
what? What? Is he critiquing Superman and Lois being in a relationship in a fucking Superman movie? No shit.
was a piece of crap, and I can't really stress it enough. There's pieces of crap, and then there's this movie. It's really easy for a movie to be bad. Superman, on the other hand, is like the Flash times 1,000.
Oh, nah, man. Bro, nah. The Flash was like flaunting around cameos without people's consent and shit, like of dead people and their families didn't know. It's not that bad, nah. And the CGI was worse. Like the Flash running doesn't even. No, I'm not saying that Superman doesn't have hints of CGI that's kind of like rubber man. They do have that for sure. I'm not gonna lie. That's true. But the Flash CGI and cinematography is 10 times worse, and that's a feat in my personal opinion. Where it looks all dried out, like fucking drained, like a vampire just bit into the neck of that movie. That movie has no cinematic looking sauce whatsoever. So I have to disagree with that one.
I can't really put it into words if you haven't watched this movie. There's no structure, there's no writing, there's no acting.
Like it's not as worse. Character wise, it's not as worse. Plot wise, it's about the Flash putting a can of tomatoes back or some shit like that, right? Oh my god, dude, I could go on for hours about that movie. I'm not going to though.
I can't really put it into words if you haven't watched this movie. There's no structure, there's no writing, there's no acting.
There's no acting. Oh, that's funny. What about the interpersonal character moments of Superman and Lois, which you just tried to criticize? That's acting. They have to put two actors on screen to have chemistry for that. That was an easy debunking layup, man. Come on, you can't be making it too easy for me. You can't be doing that. Stop it. Stop it. Fuck. Oh.
CGI is terrible. There's so much comedy, it'll make you want to pluck your own eyes out. Every time Superman even comes close to doing anything that's anyway good, he just gets knocked over by a dog.
Okay. Damn, that was a lot. That was a lot of word salad. Where do I begin? Let's just rewind that real quick, because my brain is trying to process this shit.
Every time Superman even comes close to doing anything that's anyway good, he just gets knocked over by a dog.
Okay, that's a huge exaggeration. Yes, Crypto is disobedient to Superman because this is, and there's a misconception too. That's the one thing that I disagree with Jeremy Johns, is when he said, oh, Superman has no control of his dog. It is not his dog, it is Kara's dog. She fucking says it in the movie, all right? Like, what were you listening to the film? Like, what are we talking about? That's her dog being disobedient to Superman while he is playing as a supervisor to Crypto. So naturally speaking, Crypto will be more inclined to listen to her than Superman, who's just watching the dog, and that's it. It's not his dog. But there is times where the dog does, the rare times where he's obedient to Superman. It's a dog, man. But Kara clearly, you know, she can deal with all that chaos, whereas Clark doesn't. And I believe that's what the movie tried to convey. And some people just simply flat out said it's his dog, so it's not listening to him. And I just don't think they paid attention to that last credit scene or that last scene in the movie where Kara comes in and says that shit. Like, where's my dog? Thanks for watching him, bitch. Like, as for every time there's a good moment and Crypto stops him, what about when Crypto and Superman were teaming up against the little androids at the end of the movie with Lex, and that was a good moment, and they were working together. What about the times they worked together there and they stopped the threat? Are you gonna bring that up? No, because you have not watched this film, or you watched it blindfolded and you were just hearing audio in the background. That's the only way to describe that shit. Oh my
Your
god, an
favorite TV shows are on
advertisement. Fuck
YouTube.
you.
Enjoy the latest releases.
No. I don't have ad blocker on this, unfortunately. So I just have to put up a big middle finger to that.
Lex Luthor is a stupid analogy for Donald Trump and racism. There's
What? What? Yo, what? He said Lex Luthor is an analogy for Donald Trump and racism. Where the fuck did he get that? Yo, bruh, like... Oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to get through the video section because I know these dudes are stupid. Like, how the fuck? How do you get that from this film, dog? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Oh my god.
Lex Luthor is a stupid analogy for Donald Trump and racism.
How? I can't even. Oh, holy shit.
Lesbian girl bosses running around. There's an emphasis on
Lesbian girl boss, and doesn't she fucking get bodied in the movie?
There's lesbian girl bosses running.
Yeah, doesn't the engineer get bodied? So I don't know about all that.
Around. There's an emphasis on Gen Z and TikTok for some reason. Superman is one.
Okay, you have a modern fucking film. People use their goddamn telephones and shit to do dumb shit. That's what they do. You know, it is a social media element to this movie, but I didn't mind it personally. That's my honest opinion on it.
There's an emphasis on Gen Z and TikTok for some reason. Superman is whining for the entire movie. His voice is so high pitched and the dude never stops screaming and being autistic. I don't know how
I didn't have a problem with that argument. It was once again the clashing of morals. Superman is clearly upset about you know, Lois saying, oh, you need a permit to do this, or you need a permit to do that, and get this done and get that done. That was, or you, she literally, okay, so his method of doing things was a little bit too much, right? But you can also understand his side as well. He stopped the war, but him holding the prime minister up over the sea was probably the wrong way to do it. But then you understand, like, yeah, sometimes it takes doing stuff like that to get shit done to stop conflicts. And Lois is conflicting against that, where she wants to play things by the book, and you understand that aspect as well. So you understand both sides and what it takes to, you know, get things done, and how some stuff that Superman does is probably going to be bad to his public perception, which is why this scene takes place, and which is why later on his public perception is ruined in the movie. There's no reason that I should have more of a bigger knowledge about this film than you do if you just paid more close attention and made more observant points, but I'd go off, I guess, fam. I don't know.
I can say it anymore. This movie is the most retarded thing to ever exist. Genuinely, I've
he's crying. Oh.
watched a lot of movies from many different countries, time periods. I'm not bragging here. I'm just saying that I know that Superman is probably in the top 3 worst of all of them. Forget
Oh, again, he's watched this movie with a blindfold, so I don't know if I should believe that.
every crappy B movie ever made. Forget, like, I don't know, Plan 9 from Outer Space being the worst movie ever made. This is it right here. You thought Marvel humor was bad. Well, they have so much of it that you want to die. It literally has...
I'm 99.9% sure that Thor: Love and Thunder had a lot more humor than this movie. Even the Dark World had a lot of undercutting humor where it didn't go anywhere compared to this movie. Remember the Naked Man that was on the fucking the news channel in Thor: The Dark World, running around with his wang out and shit? And you're just thinking to yourself, why is this included in this film? there's nothing that's as bad or egregious like that in Superman whatsoever. I don't I don't think so. I don't want to see a naked person on the news and they try to run that as a joke for a good 5 minutes and it's just like what the fuck is going on. I the humor in this one felt a bit more organic in a sense, but that's just personal taste.
Some of the worst CGI in a new movie, and I'm not alone on this. Just look at the reviews. So people will jump to Rotten Tomatoes right here and
Just look at the reviews, they're good. What else? Like it's really just that, like at surface level, what are you telling me here outside of high scores? Like when you really think about it, that's the first thing you see. This is the first thing you see. You're like, oh, that looks pretty good. I might go see that. Yeah.
try to prove me wrong, saying that, what are you saying, little bro? The movie is a success. 95 on the
I know what he's about to do. He's about to cherry pick the rotten reviews. Watch. I guarantee it.
score. Everybody loves it. I looked through that audience score. It was a big load of bots that loved Crypto, the little cute dog.
Oh no, never mind. He cherry picked it in a different way. People can love Crypto and say that's the merit of the movie. That's fine. If you want to put that in your review, you're entitled to say that in your review because it's your subjective thought. I don't understand why you don't understand this because, well, I guess we know why. You have the brain of a 5-year-old, but come on, dog. It's not that hard, dog.
Which is one of the most retarded parts about the entire movie. You come over to a real source like, I don't know, Empire Magazine, and they have it rated 2 out of 5 stars, saying exactly what
Oh, he did cherry pick. Okay, he finally did it, which is something I assumed he would do. So yeah, they gave it a 2 out of 5. Yeah, that there's gonna be good reviews, there's gonna be bad reviews, there's gonna be mixed reviews, even for something that's overwhelmingly popular. What are you telling me that I don't know?
saying that
It just tells me that yes, you're looking for something where it's not overwhelmingly negative, so it's like, yeah, you're cherry picking reviews. Like that's what you're doing. And people can do that. That's fine. If they are interested into seeing negative reviews, that's completely okay. I'm just saying that he is definitely cherry picking. It is what it is, people.
the movie is so messy and garbage. The end of the movie is just a CGI mess. The Guardian, 2
Oh god, there's CGI in a superhero movie, like there's mostly in every superhero film that comes out. There's a bit of CGI here or there, you know. There's gonna be CGI in Fantastic Four as well. Oh god, call the police.
out of 5 stars. I don't really know what people are seeing here, but it's getting destroyed. Another news source says it's painfully mediocre.
Bro, you were cherry picking reviews though. Like you're basically saying, oh, every person that's called it a mess is still being weighed against the overwhelming majority. There's a minority of people who hate it, and there's a majority of people who like it. That's all you're saying, really.
Another news source rates it 2.5 stars out of 5. I don't know what I'm missing here. The movie is in some 10 out of 10. Everybody
I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 though. I think it falls between. I gave this movie a 9. I feel confident saying it's like a 9 or 8ish for most people. That like most Superman fans that have no problem with Superman being more lighthearted. I think this movie is going to cater to them, whereas those who want everything to be dark, or if they miss the old DCEU in terms of how that was formulating itself to be, like if you enjoyed all the Snyder stuff, then it's a no-brainer that you're not going to like this movie.
It's spasticated. You just don't want to hear it. Now, I'd love to go in depth and show
And I think that was fair for what I said, whereas he's just spouting out with a bunch of bullshit, thinking that everyone hates it.
on screen, but I just need to tell you, for the people who haven't watched this movie, how ridiculously bad this is. For the first hour of the movie, Superman is on the ground screaming and whining. That's not a joke.
Wait, Superman willingly gave himself up in this scene. Why are you saying he's on the ground screaming and whining? He thought the proper thing to do was to hand himself in after, well, the tape came out and his parents said, "Oh, you have to come and invade the world." So he's doing the right thing in this scene. What are you talking about? Okay, sorry. They're screaming on my end, so I had to. Damn, that video section was like an hour long. Goddamn. But what I was saying, Superman willingly gave himself up in the last scene, and he constituted that towards him just kicking and screaming for the entire film. No, that's not what happened. I mean, Superman whooped ass at the end. I don't know what you're talking about.
Screaming and whining. That's not a joke. It's not rage bait. He literally doesn't get up off of the ground for a full 6.
That's rage bait because what about Superman fighting the androids? What about Superman trying to save people from the kaiju and he's successful in most of that? What about Superman fighting in the interdimensional pool and trying to get out? What about Superman, going in there with Lex having a speech and whatnot? That's not being on the ground and crying and saying that he's human. You're just taking one piece of a film that you think is paramount and equating that to Superman being on the ground whining the entire time, where I can get several situations where he's not. I've listed several situations where he's not. The fuck are you talking about, bro?
60 minutes. He's in some pocket wormhole universe.
Well, I mean, yeah, see, this is what he does. He's taking one scene and over exaggerating that as if that's the full part of the movie. I mean, once Metamorpho is on Superman's side, he stops the kryptonite stuff, and Superman gets powered up with the little ray of sun that he creates, Metamorpho, and he busts out of there. And he's fighting with I think him and Crypto were fighting the droids at a certain point. I can't remember the timeline of events, but I do know that does happen when they bust through this place, and he lets Crypto out.
Pocket wormhole universe, and in
So that's not being on the ground when he gets out. That's just him being incapacitated for this scene in particular, and that's it. That's not the entirety of the fucking film.
Universe, Lex Luthor, who is terrible and gay, by the way, for some reason.
What? He said Lex Luthor is gay? Wasn't he imprisoning his girlfriends who were either cheating on him or they were doing some stuff behind his back, or they were trying to leak information? That's not a gay person. He's obviously macking on bitches, and once they are inadequate to him after a certain point, he puts them in this pocket universe, right? Like, have we seen the same movie here? I don't think that we did. I think you watched a porn parody or something.
He just shows up and shows Superman that everybody online trying to cancel Superman, typing angry comments, aren't actually real. They're a big load of monkeys typing at a keyboard. No, that's not a joke. I didn't make that up. James Gunn is saying that everybody hating and review bombing Superman are monkeys. So let me just...
Okay. This is one of those things where people try to find some parallel in real life, but again, I think it's just more they're doing that for the movie. But yes, can social media have some adverse effect on people? Maybe that's what James Gunn was going for. It's a theme that's being used in the movie, and I don't think it's really that deep when you look into it. I'm not saying that it's not that deep in the fact that it doesn't happen. I'm saying it's not that deep in the context of him trying to say that, oh, people are review bombing Superman, therefore they are brain controlled monkeys that are doing that in real life. I think he's looking too deep in that context. I think they just wanted to make uh the social media themes prevalent to Superman in some way where they're slandering him online, and that's where it's coming from. That's it. It's a thematic that's used in a fictional movie. And I don't know why you're tying it to outside of the film, but is there a social media adverse effect where people shit post folks all the time? Yeah, you could draw parallels in that regard, but to say that these are the critics online and that's what James Gunn was trying to say about people who leave negative reviews of the movie, you're fucking reaching. Until he actually makes that claim and that's what the monkeys were for, and that's the parallel he was going off of, you don't have anything, because that's not even remotely what he alluded to with that scene in real life. That's how I look at it personally. I believe if you try to say something has a deeper parallel, then you need more comments from the creator to corroborate that. And if you don't have that, then you're just pulling stuff out of your ass and making assumptions on their behalf when they can speak for themselves.
Do the math real quick. He's not only calling me and everybody who doesn't like the movie a monkey. If you're an Indian kid or if you're a black person who said something on Twitter against James Gunn, he thinks you're a monkey. That's really not.
He's trying so hard to fucking find a reach, man. It's so funny, dog. What the fuck? He's trying so hard to find some real life parallel, man. It's like if you're an Indian kid, if you're a black kid, if you're an Asian kid, he's talking about you. And I'm just like, okay, where is the actual proof in real life from the creator that that was the intention? Like, until that is proven, I'm just going to assume you made that up. It's very easy to say this.
Not a good look. And speaking of not good looks, David Corn Sweat looks about 400 pounds in the terribly made suit. There's kids all over this movie. Why do you ask? Because it's a James Gunn production. And we'll just pretend like...
What the fuck? Oh my god, dude. Why is there kids in this movie? Oh, I don't know. It's because James Gunn made some bad pedo jokes a couple of years ago. Therefore, them kids... He was definitely after them kids. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god. He's trying so hard to, like, paint people under a negative light with preconceived notions. It's actually very disgusting what he's trying to say right here. Look, this is one of those statements where it's like, where the proof at though? Like, you gotta ask people for that, and if you can't provide it, then you're just making assumptions, man. It's just preconceived notions that's not true. Until, like, if the evidence comes out that James Gunn is, like, actually a fucking weirdo, I will say fuck James Gunn at that point, right? But people who can't prove all that stuff, and Snyderverse people, like the extremists, they say this a lot too. And as far as I know, James Gunn said he made edgy jokes. He apologized for them. He doesn't make them anymore. If that's the case, then a person can change. Just like every single time there's someone that does something like 13 years ago, they change, they don't make those jokes again, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, people bring it up, oh, but you did that though 13 years ago. You can never change. A person could never change at all and stop making that shit, like, ever again. Like, it's just so stupid, man. It's no path of redemption that exists at all for these people. I mean, look at it like this, right? You make videos where you are a racist piece of shit, ranting for vengeance. You make videos where you are a deplorable piece of trash to actors and actresses or whatnot. And in the next 20 years or so, your stupid ass is going to reproduce and have children. And your children will eventually grow up in a couple of years, and they're going to look back on your old videos and see you crashing out, having a crashy and acting like this, right? are you going to tell them, how's that conversation going to go where it's like, is Danny still the same person that he did? Like, imagine your daughter having a conversation with you like that. What are you going to tell them in particular? Are you going to tell them that people, can't change? Sometimes people can't change. But what if you changed in that instance as a hypothetical? What will you tell your child in those regards, right? I was just that was a different time period, right? Okay. Like that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, yes, you can have a redemption arc, and if James Gunn is a better person because of that, and he is someone who says that was deplorable, that was fucked up, I'm not gonna make jokes like that again, then I don't see the problem. If he hasn't done it and he hasn't done it, then I'm not going to say that, oh, he goes out there and he molests children, because you need more evidence for that. The kids are there because Superman, children look up to Superman. It's not really that fucking hard to understand. Like, it's annoying to break it down. Someone made a video about stupid people long ago, and he said, I dislike countering stupid people because they make super over exaggerated and dumb points that should be common sense to understand, but since they string together like 50 tangents, it's annoying because it makes your video even longer than theirs, and it's really, I hate doing it. And I totally feel that guy when he said that. I felt that from my core, because this always happens with someone stupid, where they make 1,000 tangents and counterpoints and it doesn't make sense, and you just have to explain away the common side, the commonality of it.
Like, this guy isn't a freak. Every single person in Metropolis is Indian and play really big parts in the movie.
Every person in Metropolis is Indian. How do you explain Lois Lane and Perry White and Jimmy Olsen? You got 2 Caucasians and a black man. All right. What the fuck? Yeah, aren't they residents as well?
Like, some random Indian convenience store worker or something comes up and just says something to Superman and ends up in the plot of the movie. The dude is the linchpin of the entire movie somehow. Some random taco vendor. Forget what every...
Damn. Well, I mean, he's racist as fuck, so this is par for the course for him. I mean, Superman was friends with this guy, and Lex killed him. It's not hard to understand that a superhero could befriend a normal human person. We've seen this happen various times. I mean, watch Daredevil, bro. Just watch Daredevil, where like Matt Murdock, I know you can say the dual identity is more prominent in Daredevil, but that is still a superpower being, or someone that has, like, some type of superhero abilities with the sonar shit and everything. That's still someone befriending a bunch of people. I guess if you want a better example, you could say Spider-Man. Peter Parker has like more prominent feats and abilities, and he befriends normal human people as well in his life, and they are core and central characters to him. It's not impossible, and I don't know why you are trying to be so against this plot point. It's weird. You got all those comics in the background, you got all that shit back there and everything. Do you actually read them? Because people with superpowers befriending humans is quite common in a lot of comic media.
Everybody is telling you, saying that Man of Steel and every other superhero movie is dark and gritty, and this one is hopeful and full of joy. Let's cut out the politics for a second. This is a disgrace to making movies in general. People talk about how bad Deadpool and Wolverine was. It had no story. It was just cameos for the entire thing. This is the exact same and 10 times worse. I'm not overreacting and I'm not making a big deal out of it. This movie doesn't have a plot. It has...
I'm going to be honest, this is probably a cold take, but Superman has less cameos than Deadpool and Wolverine, and I don't see how that factors into anything. I just don't.
Has no story. It has barely any redeeming elements. People make fun of it all the time. The American acting legend Kevin Costner, who played Superman's dad in Man of Steel, and people are actually saying that these two random spastics that they have in Superman.
Hey, that scene was great. I like that scene where Pa Kent is like, you know, you're one of us, no matter what people say. That's kind of heartfelt, as opposed to the scene that you show from Man of Steel, and you got Pa Kent walking up to Clark here, and I believe he tells him, maybe to Clark being distraught, saying, yeah, what was I supposed to do with that school bus of people that were drowning? Was I supposed to let them die? Maybe. That's not good. That's not good characterization for Pa Kent at all. That's worse than this scene where Superman's father is breaking down. He hugs him. He said, after all the mist of animosity that was given to Clark on the news and everything, and you know, he's sad for his son, and he embraces him despite everything because he knows he has a good heart, despite the millions of news reports he's probably seen saying otherwise. Yeah, it's a better scene.
That they have in Superman 2025 is somehow better. Watch the movie and tell me that his two parents aren't extremely retarded. Why are they two backwards rednecks who I do not care about? The only few things I can
Hey man, don't slander yourself like that. Come on, man.
Of that are semi even passable was Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, which was funny because the dude was just a douchebag, and Lois Lane and
oh man, don't you have a lot in common?
Clark Kent weren't really that bad, except for when Clark had an autistic meltdown and his voice went so high pitched like some little bitch, and Lois Lane goes off and
I mean, of course he would have a meltdown. He thinks his way is right, she thinks her way is a lot more adequate. Have you ever been in a relationship where, you know, sometimes your girlfriend may have a difference of opinion and you might have one, and gets a little friction in the middle? That's kind of what happened there. I mean, come on, bro. It's not that hard to understand this stuff.
on a monologue about fake punk rock. Superman is sipping cocoa and crying his eyes out for the entire movie. And we see
You don't understand that an alien from another planet may have human interest, and an alien that embodies human values may have human interests such as punk rock and cocoa? What the fuck kind of criticism is that? Oh god, he hurts my brain, people. I don't even think I can continue with the other videos. I might have to make a part 2.
here we're going to be getting spin-offs with Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen. These people weren't scene stealers, like people are going to try to...
What? Everyone liked Mr. Terrific. What the fuck are you talking about? Bruh, what? Even in my personal opinion, he was the highlight of the Justice Gang. He was the one they focused on the most. He was the coolest one. He was the coolest one. What the fuck? Like, yes, he was a scene stealer because that's exactly what he did. Now, Jimmy on the other hand, I don't think Jimmy needs a spinoff. So I'm kind of 50-50 on this, right? I don't think Jimmy needs one. He was just going around macking on bitches left and right. But he was cool. The funniest post I saw was, I think a Snyder dude trying to say that his version of Jimmy Olsen was better, which he gets shot in the head in like 5 seconds. In Batman v Superman, it's like, your Jimmy got shot in the head while my Jimmy was going out getting head. And I think that was the funniest shit ever. Like bars. He was dropping bars on people, but oh man, dude.
I tell you online, Mr. Terrific was some black dude who had some ridiculous...
Oh, there it goes. Like, not even a minute into the racism. Like, he just... Mr. Terrific was some black dude. Like, that black... You can tell in his face, like, god damn, bro.
accent of like a preacher down south. And also, he had more screen
A
time
preacher down south? What the fuck? Okay.
than Superman. And the same
He had more screen time than Superman. Again, he was definitely prominent, but I think they both. I think Superman had slightly more screen time. I'm just gonna go on a limb in good faith.
who had some ridiculously caricature accent of like a preacher down south. And also, he had more screen time than Superman. And the same goes for Jimmy Olsen, who was acting really weird throughout the entire movie. Like, all these girls wanted to go out with him, and the dude was just acting gay. Like, he didn't want any part in it. Oh yeah.
Okay, that he definitely did not watch this fucking film, because there was the girls that was at the little counter or whatever in the beginning of the film, and he was like, yeah, I'm definitely going after that next, right? And then there's Jimmy's ex-girlfriend, who happens to be Lex's girlfriend in this film, and she wants him, but he finds her to be annoying, and he is avoidant of her. Just because he's avoidant of her doesn't mean he's avoidant of the other women he was scoping out in the Daily Planet. So what makes him what makes him gay, dog? Like, I don't understand this man's logic. Like, this is the worst video I think I've ever seen. I don't think the Jester Bell one is going to compare. Whenever I get to a part 2, I have to, because this has gone on for way too long. This is gonna be bad too, but I think I'm gonna have the ended on Ranting for Vengeance.
And he also had more screen time than Superman. And James
No,
Gunn
he
DC
didn't.
are
That's a flat out fucking lie. Jimmy Olsen does not have more screen time than Superman. No, that's a straight up lie. He is lying to you for sure. I watched the fucking film. He's lying to you.
talking here about how they're going to be making tons of new TV shows and movies, bringing together the
That's fine. That's a fine output, actually. 2 live action films a year. Multiple TV. They should do. Okay, so I think it should be 2 live action films, 1 TV show, 1 animated show. That's a perfectly fine output. Don't do way too much, because we saw what happened when Marvel did way too much. It suffered. That's why they brought their output down. Fans can only take but so much.
Justice League. I don't know how anybody could be excited for this after watching Superman. The whole of
Isn't this called the DC universe? Like, it's a new film universe? Yeah, you're going to want to have some output that correlates to the universe, which explains 2 movies, 1 show, live action, and 1 animated show that ties into said universe. Get with the program.
Justice was Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and Hawk Girl sitting around in a massive empty room. And you see some handicap here. Don't let anybody tell you nobody cares about Superman. Are you
There's people in line going to see the movie, and at this point the movie has like $300 million. Yeah, people do care about Superman to some degree. Otherwise, these lines wouldn't be full and this wouldn't happen.
you blind? I just showed you 20 reviews from massive
Let's speed this
news
guy up.
sources.
You're taking it way too fucking long, making all these irrelevant points.
That all just said it was a 2 out of 5. This isn't The Dark Knight. This isn't Iron Man.
Cherry picking.
It isn't even Man of Steel. And it definitely
Who is saying it's The Dark Knight? I would love to talk to these people, because yes, this movie's not as great as The Dark Knight, but who is saying that other than you? I would like to know.
isn't Christopher Reeve in Superman the movie. This isn't even an 8 out of 10. It's like, I don't know, a 1 out of 10. This isn't a movie. It's a big load of CGI for
That's a 1 out of 10, and he has portrayed horrible reasons as to why.
2 hours. And this story just came out that Ta-Nehisi Coates was going to make a black Superman movie. And it actually got cancelled because they realized that it was too woke. Nobody wants to watch some civil rights activist black race swap Superman. But at the end, as a little caveat, James Gunn will still probably make the movie in the future. Who wants?
Okay. Again, I'm not gonna say too much about that. It's old regimes at play for DC. Certain movies that did not carry over into this regime. Other Elseworld stories they wanted to do that didn't work out. I mean, Zaslav is the boss, of course, and he's saying that, well, James Gunn will make it in the future. I'm sure James Gunn 99.9% Sure, he said he's not commissioning a movie unless the script is good and great. It has nothing to do with race or this movie's too woke over at the head of DC Studios. He said that the script has to be good, and that's it. If the script is not good, it's not getting greenlit, and that goes for every project over there. And, well, Ranting for Vengeance, you are the one that's making this about race and wokeness and all this other shit. So what does that say about you? You're the one hung up on this bullshit.
That. I don't even want David Corn Sweat Superman. That was the non-woke version. Movie with the two warring factions and countries.
The non-woke version.
That definitely don't represent a certain conflict in the Middle East that's happening right now. Don't try to tell me that this movie isn't woke or not political. If you think that,
he's talking about the war conflict in the fucking film and trying to make an allegory to that in real life with the Middle East. I'm just gonna let's get to the next part because that shit's like really fucking stupid. And as I said before, until the actual fucking evidence comes out that James Gunn said this is based on these wars and conflicts in real life, then you have nothing. It's just a war in the movie, and that's it. And that's used to drive Superman to want to stop it. You know that I just think people are thinking way too big on it. Way too big when I just want to keep it simple. As simplistic as possible.
Go screw yourself. It is. The entire movie is about Trump, immigrants, and as I...
Like, what the fuck? He says the movie's about Trump. Come on, man. See, people are just taking this one element and they are just blowing it up like a balloon until it pops.
Just mention other conflicts in other countries. I really don't know what I'm missing here. This movie was the biggest heap of shit I've ever...
Again, I'm 99.9% sure that the conflict is in a fictional country. I'm positive, man.
Watched. At first I found it funny to just laugh at it from the trailers, but watching it, it was just so bad I couldn't even believe it. How did a movie like this ever get greenlit? So much focus on comedy and random dogs banging into people and Superman whining and screaming and crying. This is beyond Marvel humor. I don't think anybody could excuse this. Superman is an objectively terrible movie. If you're a movie critic or you consider yourself anti-woke and you're saying that this movie is just okay, it's not even that bad, it's not even woke. I don't know what's wrong with you up here, but you need to wake up. Quality.
Basically, he's saying that, oh, well, the people on my side are not agreeing with me, therefore I have to use the us versus them mentality against them. That's essentially what he's saying.
It was just non-existent with James Gunn's Superman. Do not watch this movie. Do not take your kids to go see it. It's filled with a big load of unnecessary...
That's a little bit too late. This movie's crossed $3 million and it's about to get more money, so you're a little bit too late on that, Chief.
Cursing and political agenda. They spent 20 minutes of the movie talking about Superman's harem. What the hell? Who wrote that in the script? Superman's original parents and Krypton just go straight out the window.
Superman's harem, okay. Yeah, this is the one point where it's like, if people don't like the harem comment, then I get that. That's fine. With Jor-El and his original parents. But I still have a lingering feeling in the back of my head that that message was fucked with in some capacity by the engineer.
Spoiler alert, sorry to break it to you, but his parents are just evil for some reason. And then his fake parents down on Earth are two handicaps. The peak of this movie is Superman...
Two handicaps? Jesus Christ. Ableist, okay.
Flying into Lex Luthor's office and crying to him. And then Superman's dog knocks Lex Luthor over. That's every single scene. It ends with...
I don't think he's crying to him. He just says that, again, it's Superman. He's trying to be reasonable and use his words. He's trying to talk no jutsu on this man, and he knows that it doesn't work, but he still tries. I mean, that's a heroic trait regardless. So what's the issue?
Somebody getting knocked over, some cutaway to a Marvel humor joke, or a cute little dog that we're all supposed to find funny. And at the end of the movie, Supergirl shows up and calls Superman a bitch, and then gets knocked over by a dog. I couldn't make this any more funny even if I wanted to, and it still has all the touches of a James Gunn disaster. The vile human piece of shit, James Gunn and his brother, both came out before this movie just a couple days ago, and were laughing and sneering at everybody.
It's exactly what the movie is about, I think, that, like, we support our people, you know? We love our immigrants. We love, yes, Superman is an immigrant, and yes, if you don't like that, then you're not American.
You said it's an immigrant story, it's a political movie. MAGA today is going nuts. What do you have to say to MAGA? I don't have anything. I think this movie's for everybody. I don't have anything to say to anybody. Like, I'm not MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I want to get your reaction.
See, okay, so here, Sean Gunn is the one. This is Sean Gunn's opinion, all right, about the whole thing, and you have to realize that, because I'm reading the room on this one. James has a different answer. Nathan Fillion has a different answer, and Sean Gunn is the one that's going whole hog on the, political aspect of that. Now, you can agree, disagree with Sean Gunn's opinion, but notice that this is what the interviewer is kind of asking, and then he's prodding that to the director of the movie, who doesn't really agree or doesn't have the same energy as his brother, right? So it's not everyone that is having the same opinion that you're trying to point out, which I guess is why people are trying to call the movie woke. Yeah, there's going to be people that have radical opinions across the board. There's going to be interviewers that will poke certain things in there that weren't planned or anticipated by the creator itself, which is the writer and director James Gunn, who said this movie is for everybody. And you have Nathan Fillion saying, I think you people need a hug. Because you're looking way too much into it. But yeah, this is the guy who's really accelerating that logic, and I mean, it's fine to disagree with him, but he's not James Gunn. That's his brother saying this shit.
Exactly what the movie is about, I think, that like we support our people, you know, we love our immigrants. We love, yes, Superman is an immigrant, and yes, if you don't like
I
that,
mean,
then
and it
you're
is true.
not American.
Superman is an immigrant. He's from another place inhabiting this world. It's not everything he said was wrong.
You said it's an immigrant story. It's a political movie. MAGA today is going nuts. What do you have to say to MAGA? I don't have anything.
That guy bought a fucking MAGA. Oh my god, dude.
I think this movie's for everybody. I don't have anything to say to anybody. Like, I'm not. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I want to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug.
It's not review bombing, it's not Snyder Cult. Oh, you not care about Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. The dude is a terrible movie maker as well, but 10 trillion times better than James Gunn. Stop.
He's a terrible filmmaker as well, but he's 10 trillion times better than James Gunn, but he still makes shit movies. That's amazing logic right there.
Hoping and saying that James Gunn is a great filmmaker. I've watched most of the guy's movies. Not one of them is good. Endless needle drops with crappy music and Marvel humor does not make a good movie. This is not a new era of hope for the superhero. This is the end. If this is the best you can come up with, I don't even know if you could call this filmmaking. I don't consider myself a critic. I'm not some pretentious douchebag who's gonna sit here and say that. Oh,
I mean, despite everything you say, you are a film comic book critic. It's all over your channel. You may be a racist piece of shit on top of that, and that's your shtick, but you still are a critic at the end of the day. Not a good critic, but I don't know why you're trying to label yourself outside of the box. That's weird.
They didn't have the right camera work or the correct way of writing your movie. But to be honest, this movie had no structure, and it was shot terribly. It's not like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man one bit, and everybody who says that needs to go screw themselves. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is the example of what this should have been. This movie is not comic booky. There isn't one comic book where Superman gets...
This movie isn't comic booky. Okay, Superman saving people, that's not comic booky. Okay, dude.
His ass kicked by a dog, starts crying, then gets called a bitch to his face. It's not accurate to any comic book, it's just goofy and stupid and retarded. So finally for the
I'm 99% sure you can find goofy moments in Superman comic books. Yeah, maybe even like the 1960s ones, like the super old ones. You could probably find goofy moments in there as well, dude. Like, come on, man.
last time, do not watch Superman. It's genuinely, truthfully...
Already did, and
sincerely,
I liked it.
One of the worst things I've ever seen. And if you're a real fan that already knew that, then thanks for watching and maybe consider...
Oh, if you're a real fan, please sub to my Patreon and like my video. What desperate fucking plea, dude.
Subscribing. And if you're one of those woke retards who liked it, stick it up your ass. Go complain to your boyfriend.
How do people donate to this shit? I have no idea, but hey, man, donate to trash, I guess. This channel is garbage. All right. Should I really? You know, my Superman video was gonna end on ranting for vengeance, but I decided, why not do a freebie? I'll do a little bit of Jester Bell and see how this video is. This video is 37 minutes long. I might not make it. I may not make it, but I'm gonna put her on super speed and see what is worth pointing out here. Let's begin.
Hi, female Frodo Baggins here.
That's so funny. In the first 5 seconds, she roasted the fuck out of herself. Okay, god damn. That's probably the funniest thing she ever said, ever, in her whole YouTube career.
With possibly my biggest and most controversial Will See review of the year. It's Superman time, and I've finally seen the movie. But looking around online, like, I wasn't able, you have to understand, I wasn't able to go see it the early Tuesday showing. So I had to go on Thursday. So that means I had days of just reactions coming after me. Positive reactions, calling this the best superhero movie ever made. 11 out of 10. Gunn has done it again. It's good, but it could have been better. Or, as a lot of people were also saying, a disappointing film as well, despite what the Rotten Tomatoes score might say, which maybe we'll talk about later. So going into this film, I didn't know what to expect because there was so much positivity, and I would say that the overwhelming positivity drowned out the negative aspects, and the negative people were not lambasting this film as strongly by comparison. So by the time I was actually going to sit down and watch the film, I didn't know what to expect. And so I just was like, what's going to be my reaction to this film? Was it different than the marketing? Well, it's an entirely different movie than the marketing suggested. But, guys, no one who is negative on this film is being negative enough. This is, and the words came into my head as I was watching it, this movie is an unbelievable disaster. I did not expect it to be this level. This, like, if you're complaining about Batman vs. Superman, I am not a Zack Snyder fan.
No fucking way. No, this movie is not as worse as BVS. You're talking about Batman, who's a moron in that movie, so it's like a double bullet going through the heart of Superman and Batman, in my personal opinion. Again, this is just hyperbole, this is over-exaggeration to me, that's how I feel about that.
I think those movies are terrible. Those are some of the worst superhero movies ever made, Batman vs. Superman. But if you're complaining about a convoluted plot for Batman vs. Superman, you should be complaining about it here. James Gunn, Superman.
The plot for this film is very, very, very straightforward. I don't know how the fuck you got so lost on it. I'm gonna be honest, Chief. Like, the plot of this movie is so easy to understand that there is no way that it fits into the realm of being convoluted whatsoever. Versus, like, BVS that tried a multitude of things with Batman and Superman. The comparison you're making here is straight up nonsense. It is straight up horseshit. Okay? That's how I feel about that. It doesn't even make sense.
Is the worst movie it could have been for the start of a superhero franchise. The reason why I thought unbelievable disaster is how could they mess it up this badly? Now, before we get into the points I'm going to make in this video, I want to say,
I'm not looking forward to this.
was nervous about doing this video because, guys, I think there is something happening with this film because, guys, this movie isn't even just like Thunderbolts, you guys. You know that I was the odd one out of that film and I did not think it was good. Guys, Thunderbolts.
You don't think any comic book movie that is released these days are good, and I guarantee you that even if Fantastic Four is like great, you're gonna find a way to shit on it because that's kind of what you do. You like to rage bait quite a bit on modern CBMs.
Is hit.
And then there's no nuance. It's not a mid-2000s movie, therefore I don't like it. We know your criteria of comic book films. You're a boomer. You're a old school, early 2000s boomer that can't say something is simply okay. What your stick is every modern comic book movie is terrible, the worst thing in the world, or bad. Like, when is the last time you gave a review that said something is just okay? Probably not in a million years, but, you know, I digress. You have an initiative to make, and your idea of making videos is to shit on everything. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from getting your bag, but that's kind of what you do. That's kind of what is to be expected, even against the realm of good comic book movies. I wouldn't be surprised if... No, maybe you won't shit on the Batman Part 2, but anything that has like a modicum of humor in it, you probably will not like it, because those aren't the movies that appeal to you. I think it would be a lot more rational to just say that versus just spitting out 40 minutes of yapping nonsense and saving our brain cells versus just telling the truth in like 15 seconds.
And shoulders a better film than Superman. It's not even close. Marvel still has it on DC, at least in terms of Thunderbolts, not breaking the world, that they could cohesively put together a movie better.
Did she just compliment Thunderbolts? Oh, that's like a little bit of character development, despite her not liking the movie. That's funny as shit, dude. And how is she saying that, oh, Marvel's still head and shoulders better than DC when this universe that DC is making hasn't even started yet? Like, what the fuck? That's kind of like an unfair comparison, right? Marvel has like 20, 30 movies at this rate, and this new DC universe only has one. That's unfair, right? That's kind of unfair when you think about it. Like, you can compare comic book movies, that stuff is fine, but in this situation, that's just a little bit too unfair when you really think about it.
Than DC, apparently. And I'm not even a fan of Thunderbolts. I gave Thunderbolts a 5 or a 6. This one gets a 2 at best. Thunderbolts was better. But guys, with Thunderbolts, I could see why people enjoyed the film. And I even questioned myself. I'm wondering, was I just going into it too jaded? Was it a better film and I just wasn't giving it the proper chance?
I mean, you're jaded like almost 99.9% of the time about modern comic book films. This does not surprise me when you say this at all.
I do not have that same doubt with Superman. I am as convinced of what I saw with this film and how objectively bad it is as I would be for, say, the Minecraft movie. But guys, without further delay, I'm already talking way too long about this.
She comparing the Superman movie to the Minecraft movie? What the fuck, man? Don't know where to begin on that one.
There's just so much writing on this film, not just for Superman the character, for DC as a brand, for a new franchise, for the superhero genre that's been keeping Hollywood alive, for WB as a studio. There's so much writing on this film that I think people, like, it couldn't be a bad film. It could not. And I'm not talking about how it is quality-wise. I mean that no one could see it as a bad film because it could be because of how much is at stake. And then there's also the Superman fans who will lambast anyone for even being slightly negative on this film because they can't see...
What? Superman fans are lambasting everyone for being negative on the film. I mean, I won't doubt that there aren't people that exist that are going out of their way to say, hey, you know, you say anything bad about this movie or whatever, then you're fucking garbage or shit like that. I think ranting for vengeance, in my personal opinion, is the exception to the rule. I think you're just airheaded just a little bit, and your common shtick is to rage bait against comic book films. But I don't hate you for not liking this movie, but I do think that just like him, you can also end up having contradictory points to what you're making, which and you have these very erratic ways of comparing something to each other, like you did with Superman in the Minecraft movie. I think that is very clear to call you out on for sure, because you've been doing that for the past couple of minutes now, and you're not above fault or anything of that nature. And yes, there are Superman fans definitely disagreeing with people, but I believe as long as those disagreements are, you know, civilized and that you're going out of your way to point out the fallacy of the other person, then you can disagree with someone's opinion on a piece of criteria. That is fine.
Anything other than glory with this film because that's what they want to see and that's what they need to see from it. It's the same thing that happened with Batman vs. Superman with those fans. They are so emotionally attached to this character and this property and the potential of this movie that they can't see anything other than that they want to see. And that's the big problem. Is I've seen even people who are
You also got BVS tied to the Snyderverse people, and we've talked about them in previous comments where some of the stuff they are saying is kind of unhinged. At least point out that aspect. There are rational people that will make fair counterpoints, and then there's complete crazies that believe that James Gunn got paid $15 million when that should have went to a cancer charity, which is a noble cause, but filmmakers get paid for some sum of money each time they are hired for a job. I don't know how we make these two comparisons, but go off, I guess. I think there is a way to be distinctive in what these extremists are doing, and obviously if you don't like it, it can be critiqued.
Disappointing reviews to this movie have to cushion their disappointment. They have to really lead into it with a lot of positives that they saw. They have to, you know, come out negatively against the movie, but then really, really cushion it with, oh, well, there are all these positives.
Maybe critics just like the film, and maybe audience members in mass just like the movie, and that is what is being pushed currently right now. Not saying there aren't negative reviews, they do exist. Jeremy Johns gave a negative tomato score, but come on, man. Again, I keep saying this. Whenever something is really liked, there's going to be a different majority of reviews. And right now, Superman is positive in the majority of reviews. There is negative reviews like yours, but they are in the minority to the overall atmosphere of Rotten Tomatoes, where the reviews are positive. It's not like you can't make one, but considering it takes you about 37 minutes to get to the fucking point, it's kind of painful to watch, even at 2.0 speed. So, yeah, you could also make a bad review of a movie and the quality of that review could also be bad. Yeah. It's easy to say when you put it like that.
things, the people who have been negative on this film have not been negative enough. And I think it's because of the overwhelming hype from.
I can't believe that my us versus them mentality is not working, and there should be more negativity on a movie that is promoting positivity. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys, I cracked the code.
Superman fans who want to believe that they just saw the best thing in the world and they go after anyone who is negative on this film. But guys, I think it's going to be an incredible.
I mean, aren't you going against people who think the movie is positive and therefore they're not being negative enough? I mean, what kind of fucking logic is that? So you can't respect the other side either. That's what you're trying to tell me. Like I said, I have no personal problem for people who simply walked away from this movie saying, I didn't enjoy that. And they're fair about it, and they don't go out of their way to say, oh, if you like the film, then you're a piece of shit, etc. Like, again, I think a good review that was negative was Jeremy John's. I have no problem with that review, but these grifter reviews, that's part of the problem, in my opinion. Like, you guys aren't even trying. You are definitely rage baiting, because after that Ranting for Vengeance segment, I'm thoroughly convinced that dude did not watch the film at all. At all, dude.
2 situation where in 2 months, I give you guys 2 months, if not sooner, to look at this film and say it's actually a disaster on every level, and it's not going to hold up. And I've had this before with Incredibles 2. I remember everyone was so pent up and looking forward to that film and wanting it to be the best thing ever. When it came out, I saw it, and I'm like, that was terrible. That was a horrible disappointment, but...
This is the only part where she semi is spitting. There can be something where it comes out, is received positively, and then people will look back on something negatively, but I also believe that this can be weird, because there's people saying that Spider-Man No Way Home was a terrible film, right? And that discourse kind of happened where once the dust settled, people were saying it was a terrible movie. But the in-theater experience for that movie was very, very rewarding and satisfying, and I think the nostalgia baiting, as they say, nostalgia baiting, quote unquote, it worked for me. But that's not to diminish the merits of the film, in my personal opinion, because yes, some movies you can change your opinions on it for sure, but going back to that movie in particular that faced that particular problem, I still think that the film has strengths where it mattered. I believe that Tom's Spider-Man in that movie was good, and just because the theater experience was really great, and maybe going back to it now, it's like, oh, it doesn't hit the same. It doesn't diminish parts of the things they were trying to set up in that film. I think it was still satisfying looking back at it now. Yes, test of time will happen with Superman. That is something that all of us speculate we will see, but I don't think that people are going to turn back and say, oh, well, this movie was garbage or whatever, like you claim. I think the only thing that's going to happen is people kind of want to see more from this universe, and that's what this movie is. It's a linchpin to set up everything else, and in that regard, I think it's going to be successful in doing that and causing more sequels, which is what some people don't want. So we will see how this universe develops, but if it develops in a way where it's all different and stuff is great and the characterizations are important to their comic book caricatures, then I have no problem with growth. And I believe that's what a few people have a problem with, something growing that they don't like. And that's just destructive in my personal opinion. Just wanted to throw that little tangent in there just in case.
Trust me, it took like 6 months, and everybody does not dislike Incredibles 2 now, but it took a while because everyone was so pent up emotionally with that film. And I've had it before with films where I was so emotionally invested I couldn't admit how bad it was with Avengers Endgame, but like, it doesn't change the fact it's going to catch up to you that it's a bad film.
Again, cool theater experience for Avengers Endgame, and maybe watching it again at home, it doesn't hit the same. I'm not going to say though that moments like Steve catching Mjolnir wasn't fucking hype. That the portal scene wasn't fucking hype. Like, you can say that, yes, the time travel plot, it didn't really stick well, right? But the hype moments, they worked, and to culminate the ending of all the movies that kind of came before and everything, and end the arc, so to speak, it was what people usually say is the definitive closer to what they thought was really great about the MCU. I mean, people still hold Endgame up if they say, oh, not everything after Endgame was the greatest or whatever. You still have people saying that, right? So it means something to those people in particular. And what are you going to say about folks with those opinions? I mean, are you gonna say, oh well, everyone just thought Endgame was bad, even though those people that basically did not like anything after Endgame is still praising the fuck out of that movie? Like, what are we talking about, right? You have to really think outside the box, and I don't think you do a great job at that, Jester Bell. I have to be honest.
But talked enough about the critical reception. Let's talk about Superman. This and why this is such an unbelievable disaster. To lead into this film, I'm going to have to talk.
It took her 6 minutes to finally get to the review of this. I think I could only take maybe 10 more minutes and I'm done. How long have I been going on? For like 13, okay. Yeah, 10 more and it feels like I'm about to jump out a window.
About the positives first that caught me off guard. Guys, you know I wasn't vibing with any of the marketing to this movie. But when it started, I thought, my icy heart started to melt. I thought actually I was legitimately might like this film. And I'll tell you why. Superman and Lois, David Cornsett and Rachel Brosnahan, have such a natural and charming chemistry with each other. There was a heat between them, a passion you could really feel. It felt genuine and natural. And I haven't seen that in a film for so long. And to see it with two such iconic characters, I loved that. They were just so good together in what little we got on screen with them. Rachel Brosnahan and
She's spitting there.
David Cornsett have such a great chemistry. Also, I was caught off guard because I think I might actually like the Superman. He's not exactly what I expected, but you know, the kind of charming, innocent Boy Scout. That's what it was in the beginning that kind of caught me off guard and that I really liked about the Superman. It's just how
he still is the innocent, charming Boy Scout character, the lovable dork. I don't see what you didn't see there, but I guess go off.
Refreshingly innocent he was. I thought I was really gonna like him. And then in the beginning, it was so reverential to the Reeves movies, the Richard Donner movies, that I kind of like this and being like so reverential to the Silver Age of comics. That's something that we haven't seen in movies for a long time. I appreciate them for taking that risk. I was enjoying it. It didn't feel so James Gunn-esque. And I'm like, guys, am I gonna eat crow?
This movie is a 2 out of 10, but I'm giving it praise. What the fuck is going on in this review? Okay. Oh man, dude.
Am I gonna really like this movie? And another thing that I enjoyed about it in the film
I think this review is an unbelievable disaster. What are you on about?
Was Mr. Terrific. I liked Mr. Terrific, and part of the reason
I know she said, oh, I'm gonna talk about the positives, but again, for it to be a 2 out of 10, you're liking a lot more than expected. It's like, oh my god, dude.
why I liked Mr. Terrific was he was the only character in a barrage of movies of characters in a film that are constantly trying to make you laugh that actually got me to laugh more than once. That is why I like Mr. Terrific. So those were the elements of the film that I thought were good. However, those elements, like Superman and Lois chemistry, were soon to be overshadowed by a disastrous plot that flash flooded everything and overtook everything that this film needed. The character development. There is not a lot of character development in this film, and there is not a lot that you get from Superman or Lois for that matter, because it's constantly flooded by how much.
Okay, that was a whole bunch of mouth salad. What the fuck? Why do people be saying that there was no character development, but one of the main things that you liked, which was Superman and Lois's chemistry, was realized in this film more than once? Already I have exposed you before this review even ended with one of your positives, which is the main thing that a couple of content creators have called her out on. They say that she will say that she really hates something, but when she actually points out the positive praise, it sort of contradicts the negative thing that she's talking about, which is fucking weird. It's like, maybe you need look, I'm gonna give you, I'm not gonna be too mean, because there are parts of this that I don't really hate, right? Compared to Ranting for Vengeance. I think you need notes. You need bullet points, because that will make your points flow a little bit better, as opposed to you say one thing and then it contradicts itself into the other, and that's not a good thesis on a review. I'm trying to actually help you, because I don't believe that you have very vicious intentions, but you do rage bait. So I think maybe bettering your notes would be fantastic, as opposed to ranting into a void and contradicting yourself like 5 million times.
there is of this film of plot and comedy and characters and more characters and even more characters. So the main
You liked Mr. Terrific, therefore you do like aspects of the comedy. Okay? I'm gonna keep pointing that out because it's what she said in the beginning, so why wouldn't I do that?
problem with this movie is the plot and how convoluted and overly complicated it is and how rushed it is. So this is the pacing of this film. It's like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and this happens. It's just like, this movie is so fast paced. It is like constantly on a 15 in terms of speed and in terms of...
Yes, it is a fast-paced film. But that's not, you know, a big negative for me outside of maybe needing to establish Lex Luthor's origin a little bit more as to why he hates Superman this time around. I think that would have been interesting to show. Whether it would have been like a minute or so, it probably would not have killed the pacing of the movie whatsoever. At the same time, we've seen the origin of Superman 5 million times. I don't think that was needed. We don't need to see things, for example, like Uncle Ben getting shot again, and we already saw it in comic book media 5 million times. I don't think we need to see Martha and Thomas Wayne shot in the alleyway and Crime Alley and pearls dropping on the ground, because we've seen that with Batman 5 million times. I don't think we need to see Superman's planet getting destroyed and being sent to Earth and having him raised by Ma and Pa Kent, because we've seen that way too many times. It's okay to skip the origin. There's nothing wrong with it, especially if you've seen it way too many times. Yes, this movie could have been slower pace. It could have breathed a bit more if they would have included things of that nature, but outside of one little aspect, which I said in my review, I don't think that it was pertinent. And I wonder, will she mention that? I believe so.
Comedy. You have to talk about both those things together, because it's one thing to have an incredibly overly fast-paced plot where it's just all happening too much and there's just so much happening at once, but it's another thing, like, this movie has almost one mode: comedy. It is constantly trying to be goofy. It is constantly telling jokes. We're going to talk about how many characters there are in this.
Was the movie being goofy when Superman was having serious conversations with Lois, which is what you liked? No, I don't think so. Was the movie being goofy when friggin' Mom and Pa Kent was on the porch and they were talking and Superman had that heart-to-heart? No, but again, you can be lighthearted because it is paramount to the Superman character. You can tell by my tone, I'm very, very tired. I am done with this, man. It's just bad take after bad take. I don't believe she is as egregious as the other people, but I do believe she's being dishonest and not paying attention to what's going on screen. So it's just kind of like it's like an annoying bee versus the swarm of brainless wasps that really don't know anything. I guess you could still say this is brainless, but
Film. Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Crypto, Jimmy Olsen, Eve Tessmacher, Lex Luthor, Lex Luthor Ultraman, who turns out to be Bizarro spoilers. There will be spoilers throughout this entire video. Another Lex Luthor hench girl superpower character. Just so many characters in this film, and
I don't know about you, but I thought the characters were easy to keep up with. I didn't have no problem with it, as opposed to like something like an Avengers movie where it's a lot more going on than this.
All of them, with the exception of Lois, all of the characters in this movie are used for goofiness and comedy constantly. Lois was a character that I actually started gravitating towards her the most because she was the only one who wasn't treated like a joke and not treated to present jokes to the movie. Like I said, I like Mr. Terrific, but also his character is also used to serve up jokes to the audience. All of the characters in this movie, with the exception of...
You liked him though. Look at that! Look at that face. You liked him though, so therefore, what you're complaining about is something you also liked in the beginning. Therefore, what's the fucking problem? Many people liked Mr. Terrific. Look, I guarantee you, if this was a Superman movie with really no levity of the sort whatsoever, you guys would have also hated it, because that's what you didn't like BVS for. Right? Like that movie played it straight up darkness all the way through, and people hated it. So yes, there needs to be some balance. I know there's gonna be people that say that, blah blah blah, but for a first entry, I don't think this movie needed to go super dark. I think that's something you say for part 2. You know, part 2, the sequels are always a little bit more darker. This movie didn't need to be that. It just needed to be a lighthearted Superman saving people entry level film, and then we get to the nitty gritty as they start to establish this universe of metahumans and characters. Yeah, I think people were just looking for something that they didn't get, and thus they are trying to say the movie is garbage because of that. That's what I'm getting with this critique here.
Lois are there for the comedy, and that's what this film is. It's this constant level 15 level of comedy and things happening so quickly, and there's so much just stuffed into here with characters and plot that it's a disaster because there's so many characters in this movie that none of them get enough screen time, none of them get enough development. Like this movie,
as I said before, everyone has their moments. I can think of Avengers movies where a character didn't get enough time to shine because the movie went even at a quicker pace. All right. So if we weigh that against Superman, yeah, it's other movies out there that have this problem in spades, a lot worse than a Superman movie, which the core of the movie is Superman, and yes, Lois is a part of that, and I think they were featured very prominently throughout the film, along with the villain, Lex Luthor. You got enough of him and him going around and being unhinged.
Itself almost no time to breathe whatsoever. There's like 3 scenes throughout the entire film that are trying to have any heart or depth to them that aren't drowned out by the constant comedy and things needing to happen. And even those scenes are embedded with even more comedy. Like a scene later on where Superman is
things need to happen as a criticism. That's funny.
Talking to Lois after he's down and out, and it's just more and more comedy is woven through it to lighten the mood and make sure that you don't take things too seriously. It's constant comedy throughout the entire movie, and it really disrupts me getting attached to these characters. Like, it's the 2 reasons why I'm disrupted getting attached to these characters. First of all, they're all played for laughs constantly. Second of all, there's not enough time to breathe or really develop any of them in a
it's hard to get attached to these characters. I got attached to Lois, and I like the jokes that Mr. Terrific was telling. This is the easy layup because you contradicted yourself in the beginning with those positives. It just makes those negatives kind of funny because with the stuff that you praise, it could be easily used against you, Jester Bell. I'm not sure if you know that, but I don't think you should have let in with that, to be honest, because that's what I'm going to say when critiquing this video. You definitely did not hate all of the comedy in the film. Otherwise, you wouldn't have said what you said about Mr. Terrific, okay? I hope he comes up again because it's just going to be so easy to point that out.
Way, and we'll talk about that in a second, but what can really get you to know the tone of this movie and the pacing and how it just messes it up is there's a scene early on in the film where Superman is, he says hi to a cab driver who recognizes him, and I like that because it's like, okay, I like that Superman is more down to earth and he's more on the level with everyone else and he's friends with these people, and later on Lex brings that person
This is the most unbelievable, disastrous Superman movie, but I love Superman doing Superman things in the film. You see what I'm saying? About the contradictions, right? 2 out of 10. But I'm pointing out more things that I like than I dislike.
To the lair where he's kidnapped Superman and shoots that guy, and it's so upsetting to Superman, but it happens so fast. I'm like, wait, what? What's happening? And it's supposed to be an upsetting moment, and I'm like, okay, this is upsetting. But then immediately, as quickly as that scene cropped up, it starts turning it into a joke where Lex Luthor makes a joke, and I'll do this to that reporter you always do interviews with, Clark Kent, and it's supposed to be a joke.
I don't think that was a joke. That was Superman basically getting his friends threatened, the people that he knows threatened in front of Lex, trying to make his life a living hell. So he says, I'm going to kill that reporter that you might be familiar with. Maybe I'll get someone you care about, like that Clark Kent guy, which is kind of ironic. It's more ironic than anything because, well, Clark Kent is inside of the cell. But I don't think that, I think it still was supposed to be a serious moment regardless, saying that I will kill all the people that you love in front of you and make your life misery, and then I'll kill you. It's a villain doing villainous shit, right? In that scene. And it's more ironic than anything. That's how I perceive the scene to be.
It's like, you just introduced this moment that was supposed to be tragic. I barely had time to react to it, and all of a sudden it's another joke, and then it's another joke.
It is tragic to the character. I mean, Superman loses his friend. He fucking dies. That it was effective. Malik's dead, and that's it. That's the consequence of going against Lex.
Metamorpho, who is in the cage with Superman, is crying over it in a really comedic way, and that expresses like the tone of this movie. It won't let you breathe.
She's mentioning another sad moment in a scene that supposedly doesn't allow you to breathe, and you're understanding the characterization of Metamorpho, who doesn't want all this murder to happen. He just wants to be with his child, and that's it. Showing that even though Metamorpho is using the kryptonite to debilitate Superman, he is a good person at heart that doesn't want this. Are you not paying attention to the film?
It won't let you take something in. It won't let emotional moment sit. It just has to constantly go to the next joke and the next thing happening and the next goofy character. Like Metamorpho's another.
No, I think you're just sort of over exaggerating it and not noticing the purpose of the characters included in said scene. Otherwise, you would have pointed out what exactly I just said.
In this movie that probably didn't need to be there. Just so many characters, jokes, and things happening. And guys, the comedy in this movie, this is not like Guardians of the Galaxy in the sense that Guardians of the Galaxy were superhero movies that were comedic. There were comedic scenes and jokes in the film.
You don't like the Guardians trilogy for having comedic moments, therefore, why the fuck are you trying to give them some sort of praise to down Superman? That makes no sense. Like, you were live in 4K saying before this movie came out that you were worried that Superman was going to have Guardians level humor, and now somehow this movie has more humor than the Guardians of the Galaxy. Make it make fucking sense.
But there was also a groundedness to those characters where you could have clearly serious scenes.
Oh, there was a groundedness to the but I don't like James Gunn humor whatsoever, and I never did. I'm fearful of that being shown in Superman, but James Gunn now has a groundedness to his characters in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not like those movies didn't also have jokes that I did not like as well. I'm just gonna try to use one thing to bash another that I never really liked in the first place, and that's getting exposed to me right before my very eyes. You are a contradictory woman. That's what you are, alright? I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. And all the fans that you have that does not notice this veil, I see it clear as day. It's like seeing Melina's teeth in Mortal Kombat under the mask, but I see it.
Development. Not everything was a constant joke, and that's what lent themselves to interact with other characters in the Marvel universe, is that there was a groundedness to them. But the characters in this movie, in this universe, like, it's not even on the level of Reeves' Superman. It is so cartoonish and comedic. It's like all that talk about maybe DC.
Superman is too cartoonish. Oh my god. Where do I begin with that statement?
Matt Reeves' Batman will come in. No, it can't, because it's impossible for a character that
comparing Batman and Superman and how they contrast in personality. One's more darker than the other. I guess you can discover which is which with the guy who had his parents shot in an alleyway versus the light-hearted Man of Steel. Oh, I wonder, gee. It doesn't fit into the fucking square peg now, does it?
Is grounded in reality, let alone grounded at all, to interact with this Superman universe. And that's what made me think, like, how are you going to create a universe off of this? It is so heightened and so...
But they just did with Creature Commandos and this movie, and they're doing so with Peacemaker, which I assume will have connective tissue and characters, and you got people like Rick Flag Sr. showing up within these properties throughout all of them and seen as Peacemaker. So they are building characters, they are building a universe. The Supergirl movie, Supergirl was at the end of this movie. She's going to be in her own movie coming out in 2026. That's kind of what you do with an established universe. You carry on certain characters into other properties and try to do interesting things with them and have interesting post-credit scenes to establish more of the lore going into the next film to keep the casual moviegoer excited. It's not that hard to understand how they are universe building their lore to bigger things, which I assume will culminate in a Justice League movie, just like it did for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. How is this so difficult for you to understand?
Comedic, like Batman and Robin level, that it's like it can't fit with anything else because of what a cartoon it is and how one-dimensional all the characters are, which we will talk about.
The humor is basically, she's saying that the humor is the same as Batman and Robin, where you have Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze making a lot of ice puns. I know that there's jokes in this movie, but I just don't remember anything equivalent to that fashion in Superman 2025.
a second, but this movie bordered on parody. It is so heightened, so comedic. It is like just not anywhere near our world. There is nothing grounded about this film whatsoever. It is a complete cartoon. Okay, but
Superman is a lot more over the top. I don't know where you're going at with that comparison, but this once again reminds me of the people that says the movie is too comic booky. Like it just goes without saying. WTF? What are you talking about?
to compare it with Guardians of the Galaxy, again, there are a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy things in it in terms of the tone. Like, there's a scene in the middle with Mr. Terrific, and he has these balls that fly around and attack people. But he has
These balls that fly around and attack people, T-Spears. I don't even know what they are. I am a big comic book fan, though.
Protects him, and there's like a swirling scene where he's attacking all the characters. I'm like, guys, this is literally Yondu and his arrow, and it's an exact copy of that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 where he's killing all those people. The end of the film is like a swirling shot of Superman.
Oh, you can't be a previous director that has a homage to, because you know James Gunn likes to do the action scene with the music and everything. You can't have a stylistic choice from previous films appear in this one. So, you know, Tarantino and all his other shit and some of his homages, or John Woo with the fucking birds and shit in every movie that he makes. You can't have an homage or reference at some point. You can't have this punk rock theme that happens where these people are getting beat up. That's what James Gunn likes to do. I don't know what else you expected there.
And satisfied, and it's this song, punk rock music playing, just like how a Guardians of the Galaxy or Suicide Squad or Peacemaker thing might end. By the way, this is the worst superhero project I've ever seen Gunn produce. All of the Guardians of the
What the fuck?
films look like Oscar award-winning films compared to this. This is definitely his worst.
She's hyping, it's just so funny that she's hyping out the old Guardians movies when she does not like the humor in them, supposedly. That's what she said. It's so funny, dude. Isn't it funny when you know that someone hates something, a previous property or whatever, and then all of a sudden something new comes out that they hate on, and they have to prop up the thing that they did not like before just to shit on the new thing. And I'm like, whoa, bro, didn't you not like this? What the fuck is going on? And it's like, no, it's not like that. These elements suck or whatever, and you see them getting schizophrenic and trying to explain themselves, and it's so funny when people do that. I've had friends do that, and I'm like, I just don't get, I keep saying this, I'm gonna keep saying it again. If you didn't like something previously, why are you watching it or playing it? And if you don't like something now, why are you watching it and playing it? But you have money to try to make, you have rage bait money to try to get. You can't be fooling me. But you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Plot. And it's like it swirls around Superman like a punk rock music, and whenever that, and that's the scene with Mr. Terrific as well. Is there's pop radio music playing there too, and it's like Guardians of the Galaxy again. He couldn't let it go. The scene with Mr. Terrific is just like the Come a Little Bit Closer scene from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The way the movie ends.
I praise something from Gunn, I shit on something from Gunn. It's like it's just a back and forth push and pull. Oh my god.
Is very much like a Guardians of the Galaxy film. And I know I said I was going to do spoilers of this film. Supergirl appears, she's drunk, she's flying from planet to planet to party, and I'm like, perfect casting for Supergirl. Just like so much of the casting of this film is perfect. But Supergirl is just going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. And I know that people say, well, there's a different director for that film. It's just like every film of Marvel is basically a Kevin Feige production.
I guess we'll have to see if that movie is going to be vastly different in tone from Superman, since it's a different director, and I would assume different writer. But, I mean, it's possible, yeah. I mean, the MCU have basically done it before. There are movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that are vastly different from one another. Like, you can't tell me that Thor Ragnarok is the same movie as Captain America the Winter Soldier. No, you cannot. You cannot. As much as people like to homogenize and generalize, you can't tell me those two movies distinctively, the ones that I picked out, are the same. If you do, you have to be completely brain rotted. I don't know what else to tell you.
If he hires different directors, that is what
it can be done.
This DC universe is. It's James Gunn's DC universe, and it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy throughout. And he turned up Guardians of the Galaxy to 11 years. It's just constant jokes. Everything is a joke. Everything is humor. Everything is punk rock. All of that stuff. That is what James Gunn is doing with this.
I think due to the heroic antics of Superman and the big boy blue courageousness, it kind of is not the same as Guardians, if you want to go that level where we're talking about rogue space traders willing to kill people with arrows at will, which is something that Superman doesn't do in the movie. So there are some comparisons and some contrasts that you can make.
universe. It's all stuff that appeals to his taste. And I wondered if that is why there is such an unbelievable amount of characters crowding this film out, crowding Superman out. Guys, Superman spends a massive chunk of this film beaten down in a cage while we explore all of these other goofy characters that James Gunn has invented. But none of them get much development because
I'm not going to talk about the part of the movie where he beats Ultraman's ass and he beats almost everything Luthor has to throw at him at the end of the movie and essentially wins.
there's too many of them. Once again, there's Guy Gardner, there's Mr. Terrific, there's Hawkgirl, there's Metamorpho, there's Ultraman who turns into Bizarro. There's so many other of
The Justice Gang did not overtake the full movie as she is proclaiming, so this is bullshit.
Lex Luthor's goons and Eve Tessmacher and this other girl who's working for him who I can't remember her name. And then there's the Daily Planet cast. And
yes, there is side characters, but they do not basically linger for far too long versus characters like Superman. Again, Superman, I would say the people that get the most screen time is in this order. Superman, of course, I think a proper critique is, oh, they didn't have enough Clark Kent in here, and that's fine. I think that's fair. Superman is number one. He gets the most screen time. Then I would say somewhere around, yeah, Lois Lane and Mr. Terrific. Superman, Lois, Mr. Terrific, and then Lex is somewhere in between. I guess you can make them interchangeable because Lex is still prominent in the movie. I still would make him number 4. Yeah, because there are times where he's not around. There's times where he is. But between those 4 characters, and everyone else has varying amounts of screen time, for sure. Jimmy Olsen would probably be like number 5. You see him pop up quite a bit, and everyone else just like falls. No, actually, I think that would be. Could you argue Guy Gardner? Maybe. I would put him at 6 to be safe. And then everyone else just kind of is there, and that's it. And they serve the roles that they do. I had no problem with the character placement when they put them in this film.
Like Cat Grant and Jimmy Olsen and Perry White and there's just so and Crypto.
Yeah, those people. I would say, yeah. Oh, Crypto. Why am I forgetting Crypto? Crypto would definitely be up there. I would say he is okay. So you can put Lex as somewhere up there. He's next to Lex, and then that's it. And then everyone else falls into place.
Of course, Crypto, who James Gunn said inspired him to make this film, and all of them are played up for laughs, with the exception of Lois once again. One of them that made me mad was Hawkgirl, though. Apparently, like Hawkgirl, and I think this is the Shapiro Hall version. Gunn just thought, guys, you know what would be really funny? It would be so funny if Hawkgirl caws like a bird while she fights, and constantly, and I'm gonna make camera angles that make her like silly faces while she's cawing like a bird while she fights, and that is Hawkgirl. And I'm like, thank you, James Gunn. I guess that is exactly what I wanted to see with Hawkgirl. But it's like every character in this film is a joke. So you've got this plot.
There's not enough for her. I agree for Hawkgirl, but I had no problem with her cawing as a hawk and making that battle noise. I think that would be paramount given the name, but okay.
Which I'm doing my best to try to describe it, but guys, it felt like third act things were happening in the first act. Like we just get introduced to Superman and his robots and the Fortress of Solitude, and we have a text scroll that is introducing us to so much in this universe that is already happening, already in motion, and then 15 minutes.
I thought that was funny with the text scroll, but they kind of have to do that because you're going to want to. They want to hit the ground running in this universe, which is what you're not understanding, which is why the text scroll was there in the first place, because this is already an established universe that's set up with the metahumans and everything. They don't want to dilly-dally. They want to get right into the fray. And I get people saying, oh, it could have been more establishments and it could have been more added to the movie, but then again, maybe those cut 20 minutes of the film didn't really add much. Like, at this point, I'm thinking, what did people really want with the pacing? Did they want just a full on, no filler, no BS film, or did they want all this exposition at Krypton being explained that we already seen in other movies like Man of Steel?
Later, after we get introduced to all this to Superman, Lex has already invaded the Fortress of Solitude, is already finding out all this stuff, is already exposing Superman to the world, and like in the first act, what felt like the first act, Superman gets arrested, and it's just a ploy for Lex to put him in a kryptonite prison, and it felt like third act things were already happening.
She kind of skipped over that a little bit. He basically turns himself in, and then he gets arrested. because of the slander of, the message that got decoded, where it was like, oh, go make a harem or whatever. So he figures it's right to turn himself in. I kind of think that's weird that that was not cited
in the first act. And Superman is so subdued in this film. He's constantly beat down or in jail, and even when he gets out of jail, he needs other characters to save him and do the work that he is also doing. And, like, we'll get to that in a second, but okay.
We need a overpowered person to lose. Oh boy, it's not like people haven't complained about that with Superman media already, where he wins way too much, or how can he be stopped? Oh, you gotta put the kryptonite in there and weaken him and stuff like that. So I don't mind that they gave Superman weaknesses or made him lose, because people would have complained either way if he was winning too much, and they would have said, oh, this is boring, the movie has no stakes, blah blah blah, right? And at the end, he triumphs just like a normal hero usually does after being beaten down for so much over and over again. There's a character similar to this, Spider-Man, where, he gets his ass kicked, or he gets controlled or manipulated emotionally, and then he strives to save the day. I don't mind that Superman was losing a bit here, because you people would have complained if there was no stakes. You would have done it. It would have been done. It would have been said. Okay? Oh, man, dude.
Guys, Superman feels, this is something, because we just constantly had more things to talk about as we exited the film, but Superman feels insignificant in this movie. And part of that is that they make it, like, in trying, and they're really trying hard to make him seem human, make him seem just like you and me, and make it so he's not.
Yes, that's the point of his speech at the end, to make him feel like he is among us and relatable, which is their critique, that people said, oh, we can't relate to Superman because he doesn't feel human, because he's not human, and they decided to add that element in. I don't see the issue.
Not a god like the Zack Snyder version, that they wind up going too far. Because what happens in the film is there's always somebody else to save Superman. In the beginning of the film, he's beaten down and subdued, and then there's a scene where a kaiju comes up, and ultimately the Justice Gang is the one who comes and helps defeat that monster. And then Superman gets beat down by these, like, this explosion, because it's all just so fast.
Didn't they fucking kill the goddamn kaiju? Like, what? Yeah, Superman was trying to save it from crushing people, but the Justice Gang killed the kaiju before there was a real definitive conclusion on Superman's behalf. He could have easily beaten that thing. He was telling them in the battle, there has to be a better way to do this to prevent destruction, right? So he was not trying to cause more destruction by beating the kaiju into submission and having it crash into more buildings and having fire all over the place. He was trying to find a more proper way to subdue it. And he did not get that chance because the Justice Gang, or namely, in particular, Mr. Terrific himself, put a bomb inside of the goddamn creature and blew his lungs out and his stomach out, and they killed it, which caused more destruction by, having it fall in the surrounding area. And that's what Superman was trying his hardest to prevent, which is why he caught it. Like, you can't be this dense, right? What did you want him to do? Cause more destruction, like Man of Steel Snyder that you just mentioned in your little tangent there, but you aren't really thinking it through or thinking it properly as to why he was thinking differently in this battle, trying to be more tactile. Like, okay.
This message, and they character assassinate Jor-El, and have it said that Jor-El wanted Superman to come to Earth so that he could rule and so that he could take wives in a harem to produce Kryptonian lineage and stuff like that, which James Gunn apparently thought that joke was so funny, he told it 3 times within 3 minutes. But, so that gets exposed, and all these people who support Superman and were friends of Superman instantly turn against him, and that's how the pacing of this movie works. And then, like, the Justice Gang are fighting another creature in the back.
Yeah, because the movie has a social media element to it. Therefore, of course, it shows, like, have you seen people get canceled? Yeah, they will turn on you quickly regardless. They won't ask second questions. There will be people that will cut relationships and be like, yeah, you sounds like you did that thing, even though I don't have that much evidence to said thing. Or even if this thing happened and it's not a true testament to your character, I'm still going to despise you, detest your character regardless. Yeah, that's the point that they were going for.
crowd of Superman's apartment when he's beat down talking to Lois, and she's like, shouldn't you go help him? And he's just like, it's just a dimensional rift or anything. And it's supposed to be another joke, but I'm like, what this does throughout the film is it makes Superman feel insignificant. Why is Superman an important superhero in this universe when they already established that metahumans have existed for 300 years? The Justice Gang helps him defeat the kaiju, or they are the ones who defeat the kaiju, and they're fighting a dimensional being or something in the background while he's just moping around in his apartment. Then he gets...
Again, for the kaiju, he wanted to take a more tactile approach to the battle to not cause more imminent destruction. Therefore, and he was trying not to kill it as well. That's kind of difficult to balance. And but if he wanted to kill that thing, he could have. That's what you're leaving off the table. He could have, but he was thinking differently versus the Justice Gang. Whereas in that scene where the Justice Gang is dealing with the giant jellyfish or whatever, Superman's like, that's all under control. He could have burst out that window and one-shot at that thing with ease, but because he knows these people exist, there was no further destruction to be made. Superman didn't need to help them defeat the jellyfish because in that same scene, they fucking killed it. So, he was right. This is what they also establish in the movie, and what people don't really talk about is the establishment of trust with this gang. All right, and that's why at the end he says, "Oh, Brain over Brawn. I have a backup plan against Lex. They're gonna be the ones to sort of save people in this war." And Lex doesn't get his full genocide. He doesn't get what he wants, and Superman is once again instilled with hope again, which is not good for Lex's plan to destroy his reputation fully. So I just think that you misunderstood the film.
Beat down in this cage while the Justice Gang is the one doing the stuff, and the Daily Planet people are the ones trying to save.
Yeah, of course he's going to be beat down in a cage when someone is manifesting what kryptonite is and making him weak in the first place, because you don't give context to the scene.
The day later on in the film, when he finally gets out, he gets beat down by all these characters, and he is ultimately not the one who saves the day. Crypto is the one who saves him and who helps him defeat Lex. The Justice Gang is the one who stops the war that's going on. It's like
he's trying to. Oh my fucking god, dude! Oh god! Hey. I don't know where to begin, dude. Again, the trust element. She's missing the point.
While the Justice Gang is the one doing the stuff, and the Daily Planet people are the ones trying to save the day. Later on in the film, when he finally gets out, he gets beat down by all these characters, and he is ultimately not the one.
Superman's plan ends up saving the day, and that's being tactile and smart. And because he's thinking ahead and he has people to rely on, that's why he is victorious over Lex. How do you not understand this? Alright, I had enough. I'm not watching this anymore. This video is pure garbage. Alright, another freebie. Here's Ben Shapiro's review of Superman. I was told this was also pretty terrible. Let's see how long I last. Oh boy, I'm gonna need like so much alcohol after this that my brain is going to go into a fetal position and kill itself, because I have endured almost 3 hours of stupidity. Here we go.
Watched the new Superman, and I have many, many thoughts. This video is sponsored by our friends over at ExpressVPN.
Get out of here! David Corn Sweat. Corn Sweat? Okay. Jesus Christ, let's just skip all that advertisement.
Superman, which is to be treated with a certain level of respect. That doesn't mean it has to be, grand mythology the way that Zack Snyder wants to do. Like, my standard for Superman is not Man of Steel. My standard for Superman movies is 1978 Richard Donner, the best version of Superman. It just is. Overall, here is my problem. James Gunn is the wrong director, writer, creator for this thing.
I saw Chewbacca on the cover of People magazine. I was like, oh my God.
He's just wrong for it. It's Guardians of the Galaxy with Superman in it. And so that means it's all kind of a mess. It's an overstuffed movie in every way. It's visually overstuffed. In terms of plot, the plot holes are big enough to drive a truck through them. They're
okay, I would like to hear him explain these plot holes. Let's go.
Character problems. And all of it is just kind of wrapped around this gauzy, fast-paced, jokey tone that doesn't mesh with Superman as central part of Americana.
What? Okay. I thought Superman represents truth, justice, and the American way. The freedom for people and being a figure that is awe-inspiring, that is someone that you look up to, which is what this Superman does. How are you not getting these points whatsoever? And you used Reeves' Superman that was clearly a lighthearted take on the character, you know, an encouraging figure, someone to look up to. Why is it that this one is a problem for having those elements? Once again, people say all this stuff, and I think humor is subjective, but they don't explain properly. Also, I'm getting a water break, so I'll be right back. Okay, bingo, we're back.
To me, James Gunn's sensibility is always to be subversive. That is,
it also just feels like it's more starting about who is the right fit to be a director of the film versus, well, I don't like James Gunn or whatever. That's a slight to the movie itself. So he's already coming in with these preconceived notions as is, and these biases towards the director and how his style works with the movie, but that doesn't necessarily mean bad film.
what he does. He does subversive in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? He takes a comic book movie and he turns it into sort of a potty-mouthed sitcom.
Don't drink fountain water, you idiot. That's just...
You're talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy, foul space pirates doing potty mouth things. Okay, what the fuck was that criticism, right? Wouldn't that fit that tonality a lot more, considering how you're describing it? I would just think that James Gunn is sticking to this whole punk rock theme of what he's trying to introduce, and then and bring that sort of visual aesthetic and flair and coolness to Superman. That's what he does. Directors have a motif of what they do. Some things carry over, other things not so much, right? I still think that there's differing things going on between Superman and the Guardians. Yes, there is jokes, but they're not like the same. You know, it's told in different forms and fashions and whatnot. And like I said, humor is subjective, of course. But there is no way that Superman is 100% inherently the same as Guardians. Again, even the characters differ, and the character moments they had to focus on in this film was definitely Superman, Lois, their relationship, making Lex into this unhinged maniac. With the Guardians, yeah, we see a few villains crop up here or there, two different levels, really, like Ego, for example. But it was still different than what Lex is, which is, you know, a prolific villain throughout, trying to ruin someone's life through their social reputation. And with the Guardians, I just don't remember a plot point like that in those films. You know, they're already disgraced individuals or outcasts that are here, where Superman is loved and he gets praised and revered later in the movie, even after the message from Jor-El. So there's differing tones here. Encouragement versus just these space pirates banding together and finally becoming a family. There's slight differences here or there. It's just weird. Like, Jester Bell said this shit too, and it just kind of irks me when they say every movie is the same and they don't provide more substance to that argument that they are presenting. It's just because they don't like the director, and that kind of pisses me off. Like, not every Zack Snyder movie is the fucking same, man. Come on, man. That's why I don't like that.
Disgusting.
And he does the same thing with Suicide Squad. He takes that same sensibility, and now he's doing that with Superman.
Superman robots, I thought I told you to keep an eye on him.
We feed the canine, but he is unruly. And he realizes we are not flesh and blood and couldn't, in our heart of hearts, care less whether he lives or dies.
And I get that after the interpretation of the Snyderverse is over serious, he's reversing himself into completely the opposite direction. But what that means is that he's constantly subverting everything.
I was raised.
Again, you guys would be so goddamn pissed if this was just 100% serious Superman. You say, oh, that's not my Superman. The one that I look up to is the one that is the Christopher Reeve version. If he was like super serious, where's the heart? Where's the levity? This movie is too serious. It's just like the Zack Snyder films. This is trash. This is what you guys would say if the movie was 100% serious. Again, I don't think that having a tone that is, well, you play it up a little bit for lightheartedness, I don't think that's a bad thing. You have to explain more in detail what makes it bad. I think Jeremy Johns did a great point. There was one scene he was talking about where he felt like, for Lex in particular, the situation with him and Superman and the speech at the end, he felt that was undercut when Krypto attacked Lex. That is a good constructive criticism. I agreed with that in my Superman review, that speech should not have been undercut by Krypto, but at the same time, he was talking about, oh, I felt like the Justice Gang scene was ruined when they were beating up the monster and Superman was doing nothing and he was having this heart-to-heart with Lois. They had that covered. The monster was destroyed immediately and Superman did not have to go out there and fucking fight that thing, and I didn't have a problem with the context and the emotion and the characters talking in that scene because I believe that it was all covered, the trust was given, and the scene was fine. So therefore, I disagree with Johns on that behalf, but I agree with him on another. You can do that. You can have that substance. You can have that nuance in debates, in discussions.
With a dog that was my sister.
The very beginning of the movie, you are told that Superman is the most powerful metahuman, right? There's like a placard that says 30 years ago, the metahumans arrived. 3 years ago, Superman emerged. 3 weeks ago, there was an invasion, and now 3 minutes ago, Superman's ass got kicked.
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
He's not very super.
All right. So this is the critique where most people will say, oh, Superman is just a loser in this movie. In the goddamn crawling text, that was the first time that he lost, which implies, well, before that, and all of this stuff and the discovery with metahumans, Superman was winning thus far until he met his equal at the time, which was Lex Luthor sending out all of these superpowered metahumans and all of this stuff to try to stop Superman. Therefore, he met his equal, and that's why he lost. And then later on in the movie, he beats his equal. He's beaten at the end by Superman and Krypto, alright? What are we talking about here? Like, well, do people not want their character to struggle? Which is the point. And if he doesn't struggle enough, then it's a problem. He's a Gary Stu or a Mary Sue. Like, come the fuck on, man. People have been talking about this for years with Star Wars, with Rey. And now that you have a character that struggles, and they're gonna say, oh, Superman has powers, he shouldn't be struggling, bruh. Like, this is the main point that I'm talking about. If they don't give Superman any struggles, if they don't humanize Superman to a degree, then you guys would also complain that, oh, he's way too OP, he's made to be OP, I can't relate to this guy. Again, I don't have a problem with them showing Superman losing because he eventually wins over his real nemesis in the film.
He is not the Man of Steel. He is not invulnerable. He gets his ass kicked routinely. He gets locked up in a.
Now, talk about all the times where Superman doesn't get his ass kicked. Namely, when he's beating Ultraman's ass and the drones are destroyed. And what about the scene where he's actually faring pretty well against the kaiju, but he doesn't want to kill it? Let's talk about that. Why not talk about that? He's not going to. He's not going to mention it. He's not going to bring it up. Okay. They're always going to go to that scene where Superman is subdued by the kryptonite, and that's it, you know? And that was just to tell, again, they subdue Superman with kryptonite to tell exposition as they carry on, or the villain makes some monologue, or Lex makes his monologue like he did when that happened. Again, he breaks out, gets out. They have a little skirmish, and eventually Superman gets out of that pit that was going to suck them into the interdimensional sludge, and that was it. Like, Superman does not lose every singular altercation. He loses quite a bit, but not all of them.
Prison with a character who's making kryptonite out of his hands.
I think it was just fine to make Superman vulnerable. It's completely okay. He has all these powers. You can get to other people important to Superman, which they showed in the film. Malik, dead. Couldn't save him, dead. And also, capturing fucking Crypto, and that making Superman look even worse by barging into Lex's office. Again, you're playing up and building up the villain's intentions of making Superman look as bad as possible. Which is, I mean, Lex is smart. That's what he does. That's what he's going to do. So you have a problem with a formidable villain doing villain things and actually being built up and winning in that regard. Is that the argument? Superman is not too super enough that he can't struggle against a villain? Okay. All right.
Sorry, what?
He's constantly in victim mode. Like Green Lantern has much more success in this movie. Mr. Terrific has much more success in this movie than
What? Okay. Green Lantern has much more success in this film. But Green Lantern is also someone who is insecure in the movie as well, having his own problems, being perceived as an asshole. He doesn't like that, and he could do more heroic things. You know, the Lantern Corps in the lore, they don't really appreciate or even like calling on Guy Gardner, meaning that he's also looking for some acceptance with his heroic role. Mr. Terrific. This is a guy who did not have all of the plans covered when the city was getting terraformed by the interdimensional portal that Lex created. And Superman was needed to help him in that situation because he was like, I can't stop this. I need help. Mr. Terrific called on help. Despite people saying that, oh, Superman needed help to get out of every situation. Well, the same could go for Mr. Terrific in the movie, which is what happens. Man, and I don't... Did you watch the film? Did you pay attention to the film where Mr. Terrific was like, damn, I can't stop this. My machines, you know, they're supposed to be good and do everything in this situation. And he was losing control of the situation with the terraforming. I don't think you guys watched the movie.
Superman's parents from Krypton, if you're going to go through the mythology, send him to Earth so that he can be a moral guide for people on Earth using his great powers to stop evil from happening to them. In this movie, his parents from Krypton send him there. This is the big revelation of the movie. His parents send him there to dominate the life on Earth as an alien invasion, essentially, and to create a harem of Earth women to have his many babies.
Well, sign me up.
So immediately you're taking the expectation of what you know about his Krypton parents and flip.
That's funny. It's fine that people can dislike that, but I did think it was I thought it was a little bit, like, wholesome that they introduced that plot element and then they wound up saying, yeah, Superman really cares about his Earth parents. This is what soothes me. They tried to do a little cycle thing. It's one of those things in the movie where it's not gonna work for everyone, but it kind of worked for me. And I'm also someone where it's like, not everything is going to be comic accurate to origins in particular. I know that definitely was not the case with Man of Steel or BVS. But let's not go there. That's a whole other discussion entirely.
It on its head. His parents, Ma and Pa Kent, in the original, they are noble and they are wise. They're kind of salt of the earth. Here, they're basically kind of, I don't know, like down home types who don't seem to, they live in a kind of a crappy house. They're the kind of people who call the TV the box. They're the kind of folks who are sitting around and you know, kind of scratching their butts. They're purposely cast as ugly and non-noble. It doesn't mean everything they say is bad.
What do you mean they're non-noble people? Don't they encourage Clark? Don't they, you know, they're always sticking their neck out for him, no matter what, taking care of him. Even when he was like thrown through the mud, they were one of the few people that was still there for him, along with Lois. What do you mean? I thought that having a sense of nobility and sticking up for someone when it matters is something they do in the film, which is stick up for their son in the midst of adversity, where most people would fold after hearing terrible things on social media. They would turn on their kids like rather quick. Aren't they the real ones for sticking up for their child in the situation? Well, foster child, but still, you know, you get the point of what I'm saying. Like, they had his back. They were ride or dies. Isn't that noble? The fuck are you talking about, man? Like, these reviews are so goddamn terrible, man. These takes are awful, dude. Like, fucking trash. I just can't really, I can't be civil anymore because it's so mind-numbingly painful as to how people misinterpret this film, and it's not really hard to understand.
It isn't, but, and by the way, both of them are alive in this, right? The original Superman mythos is that Pa Kent dies, and that's what sends Superman on his journey. Anyway, Crypto.
Okay, you have to realize that not every interpretation is the same. Like, what the fuck, man? Come on, man. Like, there are some interpretations where certain characters live and certain characters die. Come on, dude. Like, we literally saw this in fucking No Way Home, where traditionally Aunt May sticks around. In No Way Home, she dies and she's dead. And like, come on, bro. And she's younger too, as opposed to the older version that you know of in like the comics and some of the TV shows and shit like that. Come on, man. Not every interpretation is the same, for better or worse.
The super dog is a terrible dog, is a dog that does not, like an idiot dog.
Oh, go figure. I mean, dogs are sometimes disobedient to their owners. Go figure. Even though it's Kara's dog, you know, they're disobedient to the caregiver at time when they don't really care about what's going on. It's a goddamn dog, of course. No shit.
Like, way worse than my dog Happy. My dog Happy, way better than this dog, and my dog makes trouble. This dog is a mess. Supergirl.
He admitted his dog makes trouble, and he completely blew past that point.
Who you get introduced to for a hot second at the very end. Supergirl is a drunken teenage brat.
Oh god, a teenager acting like a teenager. We can't have that.
Right, like anything that you think you know about the Superman universe, James Gunn is determined to debunk in the first half hour of the film. I think that it's a betrayal of the...
That part happens at the end of the film, not the fucking half hour, so what is he talking about?
The original IP, and mildly upsetting. Not like hugely upsetting, but mildly upsetting. That is my critique of James Gunn. He is not the right person for this film because James Gunn is not capable of delving, he's just not. He's not capable of delving into a single character and examining his motivations and what's interesting about that character. He can't do it with Superman, he can't do it with Lois, he can't do it with Lex. Instead,
you see characterization all realized with all three of those characters you just named in this film. That is a blatant lie.
He decides he's just going to toss everything into the stew. And so you end up with this sort of ADHD film where a bunch of things are going on at the same time, but you never get a good, interesting perspective on anybody who's in the film. So Green Lantern is there, and he's kind of just a schmuck, and he's there as comic relief. And then you have Mr. Terrific, who's the actual hero of the film, who you learn nothing about other than he's just kind of a noble do-gooder fellow. And you have all these superheroes who are wandering around. You never get any information about them that makes them interesting or sympathetic or even particularly cool. But you don't know the motivation.
The Justice Gang is there to protect Earth, like similar to Superman. Wow, I just solved it in the couple of minutes. Yes, is it build up to other movies that is going to happen or other TV shows with these characters that are prominent? Yes, but the goal was to make them as cool and introduce them as, I don't know if the word relatable is the term I want to use. I'm going to stick with cool. Just making them as cool as possible where you want to see them appear again. And that's the point of the Justice Gang. And they all have differing personalities, and you can take it or leave it. I do agree with people when they say Isabella Merced is not really in this movie a whole lot, so she's the one with the least amount of screen time. But then again, you guys talk about overstuffed characters, and having one of the Justice Gang not really be super prominent would be a positive in your opinion, and less of a mess. But I don't know if you have the the creative fortitude to make an assumption like that or presumption like that, or just realize it. So it's only certain people that can. And I don't think he's doing a great job at breaking down this movie.
Of any of the villains, except for Lex, who it turns out is just really kind of jealous of Superman.
He admits that, Lex does have sort of a personalized character, even though he said he didn't, which is weird.
Of any of the villains, except for Lex, who it turns out is just really kind of jealous of Superman because Superman has superpowers, and Lex is like, I'm really smart, and Superman is really strong, so why do people like Superman more than they like me? Which is a pretty boring motivation, to be frank. So the characters are complete pastiches. They're just...
I mean, you need to understand Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is very petty and vindictive, and he's always been like that in several forms against Superman. Yes, he doesn't want Superman to get all the shine. That's Lex Luthor. Okay. Yes, he believes he's smarter, and he is, over a lot of people. This is the guy that becomes fucking mayor of goddamn Metropolis.
Cardboard cutouts. Even the moments that are supposed to hit don't hit because there's so much going on in the background, because James Gunn cannot control his ADHD. He just cannot.
I think he was pooping his brains out for the next 36 hours.
There's a scene where Clark and Lois, they've had a fight, and now they're back together, and they're having a talk. And it's supposed to be this very intimate talk where they're speaking with each other. And literally,
I know what he's gonna say. The damn monster in the background being killed by the Justice Gang. Why is he not out there saving it? They had the job handled. The same boring talking plot point of people thinking that these two characters aren't having full characterization on display, and the creature in the background has nothing really to do with souring the moment at all.
Outside the window, Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl are fighting a gigantic sort of eye monster that looks like it's from Suicide Squad.
Stop it right there, Joker. You'll never get me, Batman!
What the fuck?
It's extremely distracting because he's James Gunn and everything has to be some sort of dumb joke.
It's distracting, you could say that, but does it ruin the character moment of them talking and having this heart-to-heart and this hug and making up for it and knowing they love each other? No, it doesn't, because I got the gist of those characters moving forward and advancing with their relationship despite the fucking jelly monster in the background.
Well, shouldn't Superman be doing something about it? No, let them handle it. Again, that's...
Yes, they handled it. They killed the fucking thing, or they nuked it back to where it came from. It was not an issue. Superman was right. Again, they trusted his judgment, and it was fine.
That's irritating. As far as the plot itself makes very little sense. The plot is basically that Lex Luthor has decided that he is going to make a deal with a foreign politician who the left wants to believe is both Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, but actually...
What the fuck is this?
Is just kind of nothing, is going to invade another country. And Superman stops that invasion. Apparently, Lex wants to use this as an excuse to box up Superman, saying that he's running counter to American foreign policy. Now, we've seen that iteration in other movies, right? That was in Batman versus Superman. You've seen it in other versions of the Superman story. But
yes, you have. He has a point here.
It's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this.
Oh, I'm very glad they didn't, because I'm pretty sure you and your ilk would probably be calling this movie political propagandist nonsense like you always do. So I just the war will stop. That's all we needed to know. People are already blowing this out of context. I'm sorry. It's just a fictional war, man. Come on.
Separate country.
It's not him that I'm basically pointing this issue at. It's just the people who say this bullshit. I don't like it.
Split it with this other dictator. One major.
And I have a feeling that if it really did go to his political extreme, he would be complaining about it. I just have this feeling. I just feel like they sprinkled this fictional war just enough to have some conflict, and that was the end of it. People are just blowing this one out of proportion.
Major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. Is a major plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his big plan. And later it turns out that
again, you just said it, doesn't he want to use the war to show that Superman is going in there and doing things without jurisdiction? You just said why Lex is using the war to meet his own ends to ruin Superman's reputation. So therefore you do get it. You do understand why this is in the movie, right? God.
He said, oh, no, I started that war just so that I could get people to turn against Superman. Okay, well, he does that halfway through the film. And then he jails him, and then he leaves him alive and explains this secondary plan that apparently was his primary plan, sort of. But he doesn't kill Superman at the time for a reason that...
Oh my God, yep. He does not get it. Until Superman's full reputation is destroyed, then he will kill him. It's not hard to understand. He wants to also be the one to do it with Ultraman and the drones. Did you not see when he's doing the 1A and successfully kicking Superman's ass with those fucking drones and Ultraman? Like, he wants to completely decimate him to the last atom. Reputation, body, mind, and spirit. And until those things are all broken, his plan is not complete. It's not hard to get it. You know, he wants to go full decimation here, which is why he's still alive at the bottom of the goddamn intersectional portal being kryptonited.
Remains undisclosed.
We hear that he killed 27 children, and you're always going to make mistakes, but that's how it is.
The entire plot is a complete mess. If you tried to chart it, there's no way to do it because James Gunn doesn't care about plot.
He kind of cut that interview as well about Weasel. James Gunn also said that, yes, Weasel is known. He said he was known to kill 26 children or whatever, but then in the show, that turns up to be false information. So it's kind of strange how he cut that part. I don't know, that definitely had to be intentional, but...
James Gunn doesn't care about characters. James Gunn cares.
James Gunn doesn't care about characters, but you cut a bit of him explaining some characterization of false rumors that might have happened to a creature, and it seems like you can't pay attention to Lex Luthor's basic motivation here, which is destroy Superman's whole reputation and then kill him and make sure he's not a martyr in any kind of fashion.
About jokes and aesthetics. That's what James Gunn cares about.
Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I agree with that part. Yeah, James Gunn does like humor. And James Gunn does care about aesthetics in his film. That's, that's true, but does it make the humor lighthearted? Is the spirit of Superman, is that the bad thing, which had to be the bare minimum of them capturing in this movie? And to a lot of people, that seems not to be the case.
It's very difficult to make Clark a hero in a situation in which the plot is a complete mess. And again, that's not a rip on Nicholas Hoult, who I love in everything. I think he's great. Or David Corenswet or Rachel Brosnahan. That's a rip on James Gunn as a script writer. It's just not a good script. Okay, we'll get to more of this Superman review. This overlong and overcritical.
Oh, Oh god, another ad break.
There's some really gross and weird images, particularly in the Pocket universe, where you have characters who are trying.
Oh god, another universe having gross creatures in prison. Call the fucking hounds, dude.
Themselves into weird tentacly octopuses, and you have people's eyes being attacked on a wide variety of. He has an obsession with eyes, James Gunn, and you can see it in Suicide.
Oh god, a creature being murdered by the Justice Gang when, you know, they don't have the same morality in this scene as Superman, and that's what they're trying to convey to you, that Superman's trying to save the creature, they are trying to kill it. It's just, okay, it's very simple as to why the eye is getting punted into. Also, I'm sorry about that siren in the background, by the way.
Suicide Squad is like an obsession with the eyeball being pierced, and it's very strange and off-putting. My wife was very off-put by a lot of this imagery. It feels like psychedelic LSD.
Oh my god, I wish that siren would shut the fuck up. Sorry about that, people, if you could hear that. Yeah, we doing it live. This is all live, by the way. Finally, fuck the cop car. All right. Well, how do I tackle this? It's funny that he showed these images of violence, and this is from the Suicide Squad, and that's an R-rated movie, restricted, right? Ben Shapiro, so violence would be the norm, and even in a PG-13 movie like Superman, yeah, images of violence would occur. You're not watching a rated G film. You're not watching The Little Mermaid. You know what I mean? What are you talking about?
Very strange and off-putting. My wife was very off-put by a lot of this imagery. It feels like psychedelic LSD CGI vomit is what it feels like for large portions of the film. You never really get a kinetic scene of Superman doing something cool. You have
What about the scene of him fucking doing the twirl with the lasers and shit at the end, and fucking the fight at the football stadium, which was cool. And Superman saving people, like that part was cool as well, like, which is being presented as part of his vast characterization. The hopeful figure that's making sure the entire cityscape does not fall. Yeah, that was cool, and I think some of those shots were cool. Granted, like I said, the rubbery CGI in some segments, yeah, you can clearly see it, but at this rate, again, what superhero movie these days does not have CGI shots in it in general? I would fully expect it. Now, granted, do I think, and this is the only compliment I'm gonna probably give Snyder at this rate, do I think that Snyder movies, they look really well done with the CGI? Yes, you could talk about the quality of CGI, right? But at the same time, it's like there's stupid decisions that he will make, like muting the Snyder Cut Justice League movie, and it makes the original look better in terms of presentation and obviously what is it, aspect ratio as well, because I don't know what he was doing there.
Scenes of giant heavy.
But yes, every filmmaker has their visual aesthetic kick, especially in superhero films.
The objects falling on Superman, and Superman stopping the giant heavy objects from falling to save an individual. Again.
Oh yeah, Superman doing superhero and Superman things. That's not cool apparently. Okay.
Another plot hole. You'll have giant buildings.
Oh, plot hole? A super strength man holding a building back is a plot hole.
The entire building will fall, and he will stop the building from falling to save one person or a chipmunk who is in the way.
I mean, he's faster than a speeding bullet, dude. What? Okay, what? Somehow it slows down to show the visual aesthetic, right? You talked about visual aesthetics and everything, and then he grabs this person, this chipmunk, the squirrel, and then he moves out of the way. How is that a plot hole? That makes no sense.
But it's an entire building full of people, so presumably all those people are dead. In any case, the visuals, I think, are a problem. The music, again, I'm John Williams is...
Okay. He says all of those people are dead, but in the scene where, and when he's holding up the building, I guess maybe you can make an argument for that crumbling building all the way in the back, you know.
The only thing that really
maybe,
Superman
but
movie again.
Until they actually, in my opinion, I think the wanton destruction of Man of Steel was just still worse. And seeing Superman save all these people, tend to all these people, yeah, people are gonna get injured, but until here's the thing for you guys. Here's a brain hack that I believe people who make these arguments do not understand. Until it's very clear that we're seeing civilians get killed, it's easy to assume that in the background and off screen, maybe Superman just zipped in to save most of them, and the reason why we don't see scenes like that is because to us it would be very repetitive, right? But it doesn't mean they're fully total and dead, as opposed to something like BVS where you see a Batmobile going through someone's head, you don't second guess that that criminal could be alive. They're definitely dead, and that's the route that they sort of took with that character. That's what I'm talking about. There's a difference. There is a clear visual difference, and we do have to take discussions like this into account for superhero criteria, because I mean, look, let's be honest, it is important to mention things like that in discussions like this, because people will make points like this. So when they say Superman 2025 has a bigger body count of people dying than something like Man of Steel, that's just crazy to me. Leading to the destruction of Metropolis in a vast degree by other Kryptonians. That's just wild to me. Because we know Metropolis was mostly leveled in that little crisis, right? It's a no-brainer, and BVS showed the aftermath, and people definitely did die.
John Williams is still alive. Just hire him to do your Superman movie, you stupid. Just stop it.
Get some help.
I mean, the music is still kind of there, just remixed. It's not really a problem to me.
This is the only thing that really exercises me about this. John Williams, his original Superman score is one of the great scores in all of movie history. It is
and they're paying tribute to it with their own remixes, which I would personally be humbled by, in my opinion. Yeah, so this is the quintessential theme for Superman. If it would have just been a remastered version of the John Williams theme, and that's it, people like you would have said, oh, you're just putting that in for nostalgia baiting, blah, blah, blah. It's the same theme as the original. And granted, you know, it's a cool theme. It is the quintessential Superman theme, but I'm glad they actually remixed it. And they made their own sort of interpretation of it, as opposed to copy and pasting the original version, because, and I'm sure they gave Williams his credit and everything. I'm 99, well, maybe I'm not 99% positive, but I'm somewhat positive they gave respects to it by having it here. I don't think that you just need, oh, you gotta copy and paste the original, and that's just 100% needed. I'm glad they remixed it and everything. But
phenomenal score, beginning to end. It may be John Williams' best score. I love that score so much. It is a great, great score. It is magical.
And then you also got to think maybe he didn't want to compose music for this film, and they would also have to respect that as well, because it's up to him, right? So this is what I call thinking outside the box, which is what people don't seem to understand when they make these points.
Okay.
There goes Lois.
And what do? They take the original theme and they play a few notes from it because it's so iconic, and then they underscore it with nothing, with like a pedal tone. It sucks. The music is awful. The score is terrible. Just play the original score. The original score is good. The original score is magic. You feel the magic when Superman flies in the original score. Like, what are you doing? Okay.
I think this is a whole debate with, yeah, you're modernizing music, which I think he kind of forgets the point of, this is why you make new pieces of music to begin with, even if they're based on an old piece and it's a homage, you're still updating and modernizing it for your modern movie. Which, I mean, a lot of composers, they do this all the time, where they take pieces and sometimes they sprinkle in the original, sometimes they don't, and they try to rearrange it. This is nothing new in the realm of Hollywood filmmaking and music composing at all. I think this is a big nothing burger segment.
Okay, then we get to the actual.
I love the original Superman theme, but that's just my personal opinion. I know why they also remixed it as well.
So I know this is what people are waiting for. They're waiting for my political rip on this film. So we've been.
Oh man, I don't know how much more I can take with this part.
Told this is a movie about illegal immigration. Not really. Honestly, like you have to look to find that. There's one line where Clark is saying, "Aren't you going to read me my rights?" James Gunn's politics is so ham-handed, like truly ham-handed, that it doesn't even read as political, it just reads as stupid. So there's a moment where Clark, he's being arrested, and he says, "Aren't you going to read me my rights?" And one of the members of the government says, "Well, you're now considered an enemy alien, or you don't have any rights because you're not an American." All right. Like,
what? Oh, why is he trying to tie this into a real life thing that he's annoyed by again? Fucking hell. Superman has broken several jurisdictions and laws, and he's probably considered a vigilante at this point, which he is at this point in the film, and apprehended. Therefore, someone telling him, you know, your rights don't mean shit, you're a criminal. That makes sense within the context of the movie and what they're trying to present, bro. It's not really that hard.
If that's supposed to be some sort of like anti-ICE sentiment, it's really weak.
No! Oh, no. Why? Why? It's so easy to get, bro, but he had to bring up ICE. Oh my god. I just lost, like, fucking all my IQ. I can't.
Also, legally incredibly stupid, considering that he came to Earth as a baby and then was adopted by an American family, which would make him American.
That was meant for...
He's still an immigrant. He comes from another fucking planet. And he's living in the United States. Like,
the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
There's a suggestion that he says truth, justice, and the human way. I didn't catch that anywhere in the film.
Oh, God, my mind is melting. My brain is melting, dude. As we speak. Truth, justice, and the human way. Oh. Yeah, he butchered that quote, but let's continue.
The sort of social media politics that social media is stupid and rigged by bots, which, I mean, I think everybody sort of agrees on at this point, and there's a really dumb visual joke where Lex has set up actual monkeys typing into computers as his bots. It's like, oh.
I think that was funny, so I really have no problem with that whatsoever. The hashtag super shit. I think that was funny. That actually, you know, again, humor is subjective, but that one landed with me. Social media can be garbage, and you said most people would agree on that in terms of like cancellation, everything. I mean, yeah, if superheroes existed in the real world, and this is probably the only parallel I'm gonna make, people be wilded on social media, like, damn man, I'm gonna try to fuck Batgirl real quick or something like that, or I'm gonna try to get inside Starfire. I'm gonna record that shit for X videos. I mean, people are wild on social media. They probably would try to cancel superheroes and shit too, or make some risque content with them, and that would definitely be wilding out. You know, we be wilding out on places like fucking X or whatever. People just are like that. It happens. What else is there to say about that? Probably nothing.
God, but that's so James Gunn. Again, it's all so I can't. I just don't like James Gunn. I mean, just to be.
I mean, at least he's honest with his bias against James Gunn, which I sort of clocked in the first couple of minutes in the video.
And again, I'm one of the people who, when James Gunn was first fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise in July 2018 over bad old tweets. I actually defended him at the time. So it's not about like anything personal with James Gunn. I just don't like his movies very much. The other politics of the situation are supposedly this foreign policy thing. So the left is suggesting that the foreign policy conflict in which Superman engages is a stand-in for Israel and the Palestinians, or alternatively for Russia and Ukraine.
Oh, okay. Exit video. Dislike. I'm done. I'm fucking done with this, bro.
Americanism that says that this is why America, for example, should be a world power, because America is better than other countries, and people who live in accordance with Americanism make the world better if they have more power. That's why America is good, because otherwise Superman is bad and Lex Luthor is right, and we should restrict his power, and we should jail him, and we should check and balance him, and we should not let him be free.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Give me your phone. Hello, how you doing? Shut the fuck up.